will be the final, and that they should accept whoever wins.
The power is for grab for Osun APC. What we need to do as councilled by Toja is to put our house in order, ensure that the candidate of the party emerge through a transparent and internal democratic process.
We've said it several times. Osogbo people will not be ungrateful to Aregbesola, irrespective of anybody.
The party's primary ahead the September 22nd governorship election has been slated for July this year. It's a program, Southern Reports, coming to you from CoreTV. We'll be going on a very short break and we'll be right back with more stories.
Coming together of opportunity, and this is what...
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m, NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m, and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
The primary election to elect APC standard bearer for the July 14th Ekiti governorship election got disrupted midway with accusation of bias. It was a full drama with many spiral effects. Watch this. The early morning rain, which nearly disrupted the primaries, finally gave way. Officials on ground and delegates done with accreditation, all was adjudged peaceful. The hitherto peaceful process, however, became chaotic when suspected hoodlums stormed the voting arena and all hell let loose. A party chieftain gave insight into what went wrong.
Everything started all right because we started the whole thing all right. Governor Makura did everything that he had to do, even though the rain came and all that. But you see, we have 33 aspirants. We have 33 aspirants juggling for that position. But there is a particular aspirant that is a problem. And that is what has led to this mayhem that happened here. For anything to work now, the Minister for Mines is either he withdraws from this contest, because as long as they are going to do this contest again in Ekiti, it's going to be a problem.
Well, what I'm going to say is that our people reacted to what they saw as unfair treatment of other aspirants by a single aspirant. Now, what actually happened was that people claimed that the agent of this particular aspirant was canvassing people who came to vote right there under the tent. You understand? While the agents of all other aspirants were not able to do that. That was an infringement, an absolute infringement of the laid down rules and regulations.
The man in the eye of the storm, ex-Governor Kayode Fayemi, however, had his own support.
It is unfortunate. It's not like a conspiracy against my candidate, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. It is uncalled for aspirants to sponsor talks into the venue of an election, party primary election. It is an agreed principle that any delegate who cannot read or write or who needs an assistance to call the agents.
All efforts to read the chairman of the primary committee, Governor Makura, proved unsuccessful, just as aspirants await further directive.
First, my comment will be that you should wait for further instructions from the chairman of the panel. The chairman of the panel, I'm sure, will put some communication across to the press. I'm not feeling good. I don't feel happy, and this is not us as Ekiti people. This is not good for our image. This is not good for our temperament, but we have nothing that we can do now other than to just take it in good stead.
This is a thoroughly embarrassing situation. This is a tragic situation. We're a party that has a leadership at all levels, up to the national level. I'm sure the leadership of the party will get together and do something about it. But the chairman of the Ekiti Primary Election Committee, His Excellency Governor Makura, will be addressing the press and addressing the nation through the media on the way forward.
All delegates and party faithful hope to have another shot at the process. After the disruption of the process, some members of the party went on protest seeking the removal of the chairman of the party, Chief Jide Awe. While the whole crisis lasted, some aspirants who alleged a shady primary process withdrew from the rescheduled exercise. One of those aspirants was the special advisor to the president on political matters, Senator Babafemi Ojudu.
I'm saying, and I've announced it loudly, that I am withdrawing. I'm not stepping down for anybody. A lot of things have been introduced: hooliganism, violence, and people are threatening violence for Saturday. You know, if you want to go and come and rescue people, if you want to serve them without any other thing, why do you want to commit violence against people you want to serve? So I've learned quite a lot. I know that it is possible to solve the problems confronting our people if you are sincere, if you are committed, if you are not deceitful, you know, if you are not ready to steal their money. We know those who have stolen their money, either through bond or through some senseless loans or through all kinds of mischievous ways. We know them. They will pay back those money. And that's one of the things I want to do. As a non-aspirant, I'm going to pursue, I'm going to do investigation and reveal the identity of those who have stolen the resources of this state, whether from our party or from any other party.
While the Ekiti State APC got enmeshed in crisis, the ruling People's Democratic Party, however, held a peaceful primary which produced Deputy Governor Kolapo Olushola as the standard bearer of the party.
As the returning officer, by virtue of the fact that I'm chairman of the State Congress Committee for Ekiti State PDP Gubernatorial Congress, that I hereby return Professor Kolapo Olushola as the duly nominated gubernatorial aspirant candidate of the PDP for Ekiti State gubernatorial elections.
Indeed, the victory of today is unique, given that it has not only validated our loyalty, commitment, and dedication to our great party, People's Democratic Party, but it has to a great extent rekindled our trust and belief in democratic norms. I bless the name of God Almighty for the success and victory recorded today after the gubernatorial primary election, being an aspirant with the highest number of votes cast, and salute the doggedness of my brother, my co-contestants.
The first runner-up in the PDP primary, Dayo Adeyeye, however, dumped the party to pursue his governorship dream on another platform. After the Saturday primaries, which was adjudged peaceful, Dayo Adeyeye is still bent on actualizing his dream of becoming Ekiti State Governor. Speaking with journalists on his decision to leave PDP, Adeyeye disclosed agreement between him and Governor Ayodele Fayose on the issue of the party's candidate for the coming poll, stressing that he could no longer relate with anyone that had no regard for the feelings of others. Adeyeye stressed that he had already informed the governor to stop making entreaties to him since he has parted ways with the party.
Certainly, like I have said, there is no meeting point between light and darkness. Fayose represents darkness for it. It's that tragic. His involvement in the politics and governance have been extremely tragic for our people. The people are traumatized, and certainly for a man who has no respect for his own words, who cannot keep his own words, I don't think that there is any reason for us to continue to associate together. The exercise, as far as Governor Okowa was concerned, went well. I had a complaint with Governor Okowa, which he didn't address. But that's not for me to say he didn't do a good job. I told him that there was no need to compel people to wear uniforms, which Fayose had specially made for them from one local government to another. He camped them. He did everything. And yet, that is the figure he had. And we still have this figure. So you will know where the heart of the party is. Who really is at the support of the majority of this party member.
Adeyeye, however, agreed to move to the All Progressives Congress and with the deputy governor for their government, stressing that such an arrangement is not on his mind.
I have nothing to do with APC. And let me tell you, go and erase it from your mind, all of you. I can never be deputy governor to anybody in the state. It's not a question of pride. It's a question of principle. I want to run this state. I want to have programs to do, which the position of deputy governor will not allow me to do. I'm not just looking for offices. I've been offering Senate. I don't want it. I want to rescue Ekiti. I want to have to put Ekiti on a new path.
Although Adeyeye is here to reveal the party he and his supporters are moving to, an extensive meeting is ongoing on the matter with announcement due in a matter of hours. That will be the package for Southern Report this week. Join us next week for another exciting edition of the program. If you miss this and other versions that you want to watch, you can always log on to our social media platforms, and the handles to these various social media platforms are being scrolled on your screen. My name is Rashid, and as I always leave you, I tell you to be good to yourself and be good to our nation, Nigeria. See you next week.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about thought.
Now, you see, let me
say this.
So that our soldiers will be free, we should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
The eyes have it.
Hello and thanks for joining us again on your program Gavel to Gavel. Today we shall bring you the report of a running battle between the Senate and the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, plus other big stories from the two chambers of the National Assembly during the week. Stay tuned for these and more shortly. I am Chuka Odita, your host.
As you can see, the eyes have it.
Welcome back. The skirmish between the Nigerian Senate and the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, seems to be worsening by the day. For the 4th time running, the Inspector General of Police has refused to appear before the Committee of Whole of the Senate to brief the lawmakers on modalities the police has on ground to stop the spate of killings by armed Fulani herdsmen in agrarian states, plus to give an update on the arrest of Dino Melaye, one of their own, who was arrested in handcuffs.
This is the 4th sequence of refusal by the IGP to appear before the Senate to brief them on security challenges in the country. President of the Senate, had Tuesday informed his colleagues that the IGP will appear before the lawmakers Wednesday following an official report made to President Muhammadu Buhari over the conduct of the IGP towards the Senate. On the assumption that the IGP has been called to order, the Senate schedules appearance of a police boss in the Wednesday order paper, but were rudely shocked to learn that the unwilling IGP has again failed to turn up as other times. Senators took turn to express displeasure over the embarrassing development.
This is very unusual and also very unfortunate. I personally feel that public officers should do what is in the interest of the public, and where any public officer feels he cannot do what is in the interest of the public, then there is no need for such an officer to continue to occupy that kind of office.
It is sad, it is inexcusable, it's unacceptable, it's condemnable, and it calls for immediate action.
On official capacity, there is no any person here that is not bigger than the IG constitutionally. Anybody here can invite the IG officially, because by the Constitution, every senator is bigger than the office of the IG. And this is, if we are counting, this is the 4th time the IG was invited here, and for some other reasons, he refused to come. The first time when I made the allegation, on the way the police is being governed or made by the Inspectorate of Police, he brought a lawyer challenging the authority of the Senate to invite him.
The Senate noted that this, in our view, is a gross disrespect to the institution and constituted authority. Senate also noted that his earlier refusal to appear before the investigative committee was overruled by a competent court of jurisdiction just in April of this year. The Senate therefore viewed this persistent refusal as a great danger to our democracy. Therefore, the Senate resolved to declare the IGP as an enemy of democracy and not fit to hold any public office within and outside Nigeria. The leadership of the Senate was also mandated to look into the matter for further necessary action.
Recall that the Federal High Court had in April 10 ruled that the Senate has powers to invite any public office holder to appear before it. Hence, Ibrahim Idris was ordered to honor Senate summons. The reluctant IGP has last year, in the company of his legal counsel, Alec Izinyo, appeared before a Senate committee investigating him for alleged corruption. He has since then refused to appear before the Senate for further investigation.
The ayes have it.
It is the view of the Nigerian Senate that unless proliferation of firearms in the hands of unlicensed holders are quickly reversed, the rampant killings across the country will go on unabated. To this end, the Senate has resolved to invite the service chiefs, customs, immigration, and DSS bosses to brief the lawmakers on modalities to check arms proliferation in the country.
According to Hunkuyi, security agencies charged with the responsibility of licensing or checking acquisition of sophisticated weapons have failed in their duties, as over 70% of illegal arms are in circulation in the country. He attributes the spate of killings by armed headsmen to poor regulation and failure of security agencies in the country. Hunkuyi warns that the killing across the country, especially in Benue, among other agrarian states, may lead to food shortage unless government takes urgent steps to curb firearm possession by headsmen and other unauthorized holders.
Worried that despite the killings in Benue, Kaduna, Kogi, Zamfara, and other parts of Nigeria, which occurred within a spate of a short period of February to April 2018, and still trending today. Of course, the Boko Haram mayhem in the northeast, coupled with the daily nationally spread cases of sophisticated killings, deadly clashes, armed robberies, kidnappings, cattle rustling, and other heinous crimes where hitherto unavailable firearms are used.
Seconding the motion, another Kaduna senator blames the proliferation of sophisticated weapons on political class, who he says play a role in arming unauthorized persons. He describes Nigeria as gradually edging towards a failed state, in addition to becoming an AK-47 country. He concludes that unless Nigerians and the political class are reorientated on the true ideals of politics, the nation will make no progress.
Political parties in Nigeria were not founded on any ideology. They were founded as a vehicle for assuming political offices, and they are prepared to do so by all means. Violence is not simply about the headsmen and the insurgents, but we have seen an institutionalized adoption and adaptation of violence as a policy and as a strategy of people in the position of power.
President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, in his contributions, rules that service chiefs, among other top security agency chiefs, be invited to the Senate to update the lawmakers on the way forward.
Invite all service chiefs, Director General of State Services, National Security Advisor, Controller General of Customs, Immigration, for discussion aware of this unfortunate situation. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Committee on Intelligence and National Security has been mandated to look into the matter and report back to the Senate.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Nigerian Senate has begun moves to make good its vow not to allow those who played a part in the invasion and cutting away of the maize to go unpunished. To this end, President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, has inaugurated a joint committee of the National Assembly to investigate and come up with recommendations for all culpable parties in the show of shame. The committee is headed by Senator Bala Ibn Na'ala. President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, who inaugurated the committee, says the report of the committee will be relied upon by the National Assembly to mete out punishment for all those who played a role in the invasion saga, while charging members of the joint committee to see the assignment as an urgent national duty. He also urges them to be fearless, adding that posterity will not forgive the 8th Senate if it fails to take stern actions on the issue, which he describes as national embarrassment.
The events of the 18th April 2018 will go down as one of the darkest days of our democracy, where the presence of the National Assembly, which is not just a place where the National Assembly meets, it is a symbol of our liberty and freedom from autocracy and the base of our democracy. This event should not happen. It should never happen again. The violation of this solemn place, the symbol of our liberty to have a government by the representative of our people, for our people, by a group of mobsters and criminals, cannot simply be ignored. It has become inferred in many quarters that this group of thugs were led by a serving senator is most despicable and unspeakable.
Deputy Leader of the Senate, who doubles as chairman of the committee, assures that the committee will do everything necessary to perform its task creditably.
This committee is disturbed by the fact that the assignment given to it is a very serious assignment, but I have the authority of my colleagues in the Senate and the House of Representatives to assure Mr. President, who is the chairman of the National Assembly, that we will discharge this responsibility with the utmost attention and seriousness that it deserves, Mr. President.
A member of the committee from House of Representatives also gave the assurance that the assignment will be executed with all seriousness, as assault on the Senate is also assault on the House of Representatives.
I'm particularly impressed with the swift reaction of the Senate and the House of Representatives during and after the saga, resulting in the setting up of this joint ad hoc committee to investigate the remote and immediate causes of the incident in order to nip future occurrences in the bud. That was an eloquent testimony of the patriotic zeal and spirit of oneness in both chambers. I wish to further thank the National Assembly members individually and collectively for the maximum cooperation, especially those of us who have found time to attend this inauguration despite the short notice.
Although the committee was not given a specific deadline within which to submit its report, a member of the committee told CoreTV News that his first meeting holds immediately after the inauguration, while a second one holds on 9th of May.
The ayes have it.
Let's take a break. When we return, we'll bring you more reports.
The ayes have it.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it.
He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
The ayes have it.
Welcome back. The House of Representatives on Tuesday passed for second reading a bill to repeal the Vague Terrorism Act of 2011 and enact the Terrorism Act 2018. The proposed Terrorism Act 2018 is to provide for measures for detection, prevention, enforcement, and combating of acts of terrorism across the country.
Giving insight at plenary, sponsor of the bill, Kayode Oladele, explains that the bill seeks to establish institutional frameworks, including the Nigeria Sanctions Committee, for the implementation, coordination, and enforcement of its provisions. Some fundamental changes incorporated into the bill, as noted by the lawmaker, are the expanded definition of what constitutes acts of terrorism and the crime of hostage-taking, kidnapping, and hijacking.
The purpose of the bill, Mr. Speaker, which is a justice sector bill, and which has been drawn and has been on the drawing table since 2013, is, among other things, one, to harmonize the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 and the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013, and to correct the numbering challenges in the existing legal frameworks. Repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011 as amended.
Lawmakers debating on the bill on the floor give their full support and call for thorough check on the Nigerian border.
It is my prayer that the federal government will empower the police, the SSS, and all the other security agencies which are involved in investigating terrorism-related offenses, so that by the time a suspect is arrested, investigation ought to have concluded. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important area.
We must look at this bill in such a way that creates a safety net for people, so that this omnibus definition of terrorism is not such a dragnet that gathers everybody and gives them, and then they are presumed guilty until proven innocent.
Consequently, I think the purpose of this bill is to actually bring the entire gamut of the law on terrorism in one act. I support the second reading of this bill because it seeks to incorporate the relevant sections on terrorism in one bill.
The Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, therefore referred the bill to the House Committee on Security and Intelligence for further legislative input.
The ayes have it.
Worried about the continued lockdown of the national headquarters of the Peace Corps of Nigeria by the Nigerian police, despite court ruling to the contrary, the House of Representatives has ordered the Inspector General of Police, Idris Ibrahim, to unseal the building within 21 days. This follows the recommendation of the House Committee on Public Petitions, which conducted an investigation into the matter.
The committee notes that the Peace Corps facilities has been under lock and keys by the police since February 28, 2017. The committee also states that Justice Gabriel Kolawole of the Federal High Court, Abuja, had on 9 November 2017 ordered that the office be unsealed while awarding 12.5 million damages against the Nigerian police. In a similar development, Justice John Soho of another division of the Federal High Court, Abuja, had also on the 15th of January 2018 given judgment that police should vacate the Peace Corps office. None of the judgments was obeyed, and no validity of execution was obtained by the police, whose operatives and vehicles are permanently stationed at the premises of the Peace Corps. Presenting the report of the investigation to the House at plenary on Wednesday, Chairman of the House Committee on Public Petitions says a series of invitations has been sent to the Inspector General of Police to appear before the committee, but he refused to honor it.
Mr. Chairman, it interests us to note that if something is not done to restore that court orders be obeyed, then I fear very much that we're heading to anarchy. The Peace Corps organizations had this petition brought by coalition of civil society organizations for justice and equity against Nigerian police force for sealing the premises of the Peace Corps. The totality of evidence, both oral and paper submitted, we found out that the Peace Corps had obtained several and numerous court orders that were precise, direct, that they should unseal their premises.
The committee, while expressing its concern, notes that it will spell doom for Nigerian democracy and give room to anarchy if an agency of the federal government, in this case the Nigerian police, continues to disobey court orders.
The respondent, in this case Inspector General of Police, to vacate and unseal the premises of the petitioner, Peace Corps of Nigeria, within 21 days in compliance to High Court orders in obedience to the recommendation of Attorney General. Carried.
As you can see, the ayes have it.
Let's take a break. When we return, we'll bring you more reports.
As you can see, the ayes have it.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into its hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they are not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
As you can see, the ayes have it.
The House of Representatives is urging the Central Bank of Nigeria to transmit its copy of annual accounts certified by auditors to the National Assembly and the Presidency within 2 months after close of each financial year, as provided in Section 50 of the CBN Act 2004. This resolution is coming via a motion by Kingsley Chinda at the plenary Wednesday.
Leading the debate, the lawmaker expresses worry that the Central Bank of Nigeria has not been complying with Section 50, subsection 1 of the CBN Act 2004, thereby rendering the law nugatory and of no effect.
To urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to comply with the provisions of Section 50, subsection 1 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act, and ensure that it transmits to the National Assembly a copy of its annual account certified by the auditor.
Lawmakers supporting the motion say the audit report will help understand the spendings of the CBN and know the strength of the Nigerian naira.
Central Bank of Nigeria do sanction even
commercial banks, primary mortgage banks, even community banks, for not even publishing their annual report and accounts. So why can't they even publish their own and bring it to the central, to National Assembly, so that at least we can use it to do our legislative oversight?
The House unanimously adopted the motion and mandates the committees on banking and currency as well as legislative compliance to ensure compliance.
As you can see, the eyes have it.
The House is aware that the NYSC scheme was established, among others, to foster oneness and cater for unity in diversity amongst the distinct ethnic groups and nationalities in the country. The House is further aware that there has been cases of deaths of core members at orientation camps. Ukeme Monday is said to have died at an orientation camp in Zamfara State in February 2017, and about 2 weeks ago, one Miss Amadi Eva Ichechukwu died at the Ipata orientation camp in Edu local government area of Kwara State.
Disease, a graduate of oil and gas engineering from the University of Port Harcourt, is said to have died as a result of injuries sustained during a man-o-war drilling after falling off the stream in course of the drilling exercise at the camp, and those said to have been rushed to the NYSC clinic. The clinic only had youth-com doctors who could do very little to save her life.
Lawmakers also lament the poor serving scheme of the National Youth Service Corps, which the House describes as detrimental to the growth of the nation.
What type of training do they get? And number 3, what type of insurance cover our corpers? What type, assuming there's any?
Where simple medical facilities, just to check to see, like in normal paramilitary training, to find out the health status of our kids before they engage in a lot of these running, mountain climbing, and very rigorous exercises are lacking. It's like condemning our children to death.
If those that are in charge of the training of our youths in camp will insist that before you get enlisted in their service, you must be medically fit, do they do the same thing before subjecting these children to the kind of training that they give to them? The answer is no.
Is that beyond even what has happened, which came about by some rigorous training. It was okay when we did youth service several years ago. Now there are so many children, there are so many issues. The kind of training the army give to these children should be reviewed.
The House pays her respect to those who died while on service to the fatherland. The House, in a unanimous voice vote, directs that the federal government, through the NYSC and other appropriate agencies, take urgent steps to improve the condition of orientation camps across the country, including medical facilities and personnel. The House further mandates the Committee on Youth Development to investigate the conditions of orientation camps across the country and circumstances surrounding the death of the deceased corps member and report back to the House within 1 month for further legislative action.
As you can see, the eyes have it.
That's the size of the package for this week, viewers. Join us again next week for a fresh edition. I am Chuka Odita. Thanks for watching and bye for now.
Amanete Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our students, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seat of power.
Bring all the traffic into this direction.
We are going to work to ensure that the road will.
Good day and welcome to another episode of your program Infrastructure Weekly. I am your anchor, Abosede Omowi. Today on the program, we will be taking you through developments in the power, works and housing sector as always. We will be right back after this time out to properly set sail. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunities. This is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
We will take out from the power sector this week with the commissioning of the 2x60 132-33 kVA Odogunyo substation in Ikorodu in Lagos State, where the federal government says it will continue to expand capacity in the power sector to ensure that Nigerians get the full benefit of the potential of the sector. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, also disclosed that the new transmission substation will help in unlocking the potentials of the Ikorodu Industrial Estate. Let's take a listen.
The Odogunyo substation was conceived in the year 2009, but the usual challenge of the time, which includes funding and late takeoff in 2010, did not allow the completion of the project. But today, 9 years after it was originally conceived, it has been commissioned, and the minister, obviously elated at the completion of the project, said this is the impact the change represents. He discloses the resolve of the federal government to ensure the capacity of the transmission leg of the power sector value chain continuously improves.
The transmission sector of the power value chain has been one of the beneficiaries of Mr. President's charge for project completion and project commissioning. So over the last few weeks and months, whether it is in Sokoto, in Lagos, or in Asaba, or in Umuahia, and recently in Akpo, in Abuja, if you have followed our story, you will see that we have been very busy completing one transmission project or expanding one transmission station here and there.
The minister says the federal government is ramping up efforts in the sector with expected delivery of 90 projects before the end of the year. For his part, the managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Usman Go Mohammed, says the sector is now on the path of sustainable development. According to him, the level of development and funding in the sector for the past 3 years is unprecedented.
Power is one of the critical action points of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan of President Muhammadu Buhari. Those of you who listened to his New Year address on the 1st of January of this year will recall the details of projects spanning infrastructure, containing power infrastructure particularly, which my ministry was charged to advance and to complete with vigor.
Transmission has been scattered, distribution is not working, and generation is not working. Generation was only about 3,500, transmission was 5,500, and distribution was also about 3,000. As at today, as at December, when the last simulation was done, TCN transmission had a capacity of 7,124. And after that, we have added so many other substations. And generation was 7,000 megawatts, and distribution, if you look at last time we had a peak, distribution was 5,224. So that's tell you how the minister has transformed the sector.
The minister later commissioned the project and handed it over to the Anyogbure of Ikorodu, Kabiru Shotobi, who promised to ensure the safety of the substation to fast-track social-economic development of the area. The member representing the area in the House of Representatives, Jimmy Benson, thanked the government for bringing the substation, which he says will impact positively on the Ikorodu industrial estate, which it exclusives is the largest in West Africa.
When I came in here, this is the largest industrial estate in the whole of West Africa. And we can get value from this enormous community, what we have been endowed. I want to make a plea how they can do the road for them so that we can get the benefit of having the industry situated here.
This transmission station, and I'm sure it will bring 24-hour power to our federal constituency.
The substation is expected to help in evacuating about 90 megawatts of electricity for distribution for the people of Odoguyon and adjoining communities.
Staying with the power sector, efforts aimed at building up the nation's transmission capacity have continued apace, with the commissioning of the Ejigbo and Akanga power transmission substations also in Lagos State. Stakeholders say the new substations are a game changer for electricity consumers in the area.
The need to provide electricity in households, office and business areas in Nigeria for the comfort of Nigerians is the assurance of the Buhari-led government through new power system installations geared towards providing quality services to the people. The federal government provision of funds for the Transmission Company of Nigeria through its Ministry of Power to embark on expansion projects across the country is already strengthening transmission capacity to aid the increase in power supply. It is good news that the President Muhammadu Buhari administration is making efforts to boost power supply nationwide in the next 1 year with the renewal of power equipment to increase transmission capacity.
In the past 1 year, we have done a lot of reinforcement projects. We have a lot of rehabilitation projects, those that have been completed, those that are still on the way.
When all these efforts are put in place, cumulatively, at the end of the day, Nigerians will experience improved power.
At Ejigbo 132 by 33 kV substation, the capacity is presently 250 MVA. With the commissioning of a 100 MVA transformer, the capacity would increase to more than 300 MVA, with mobile transformers presently bridging the gap when the need arises.
This station is part of the national grid because we link to 3 different power stations: Egmi, Omotosho, and Olorunshogo. So once power is generated there, they will send it to us through the grid. Then from here, we now send it to Sakete and some distribution companies. About 3 of them are fed from this location.
At any point in time, we monitor, we have operators that are on duty 24 hours to ensure that at every point in time, the customer, which is in this case the distribution company, get the required supply, or the power they required.
As 260 MVAs have been added with ongoing 300 MVA on the site, the Akongba and virtually all the substations are witnessing consistent increase in capacity.
Been operating on 3x60 MVAs, but since this administration started, we've been given additional 2x60 MVA. And with this additional, we have been able to introduce about 4 33 kV feeders with the newly installed 33 kV switchyard. So since this administration started, we have been able to extend this very one. And right now, we still have room for spare feeders, up to about 8 outgoing feeders that are yet to be loaded by the district.
Inspecting all the newly installed transformers, representatives of the Transmission Company of Nigeria have this to say.
Presently, we have 5 numbers, 60 MVA at the 132, which is 300 MVA. 5 numbers, 60 MVA at the 132, as against the 120 we used to have when we started operations here. And we have so many feeders now. So many. We have about 22, 33 kV are going.
This transformer is the newest in the station. It's a 300 MVA transformer, which is used to increase the capacity of this station. Before now, all the 5 transformers in the station are overloaded. So the authority deemed it fit to increase so that the capacity can increase, and will stop this overloading of the transformer. In essence, we are now giving more power to all the stations, all the city, town, states that are collecting supply from us in this station.
Stakeholders emphasize the need for the distribution companies to recapitalize their network so that they can deliver uninterrupted power supply to the people of Nigeria.
On the transmission side, we have the capacity to transmit above 7,000 megawatts now, but we are looking far beyond that. So in the transmission side, we are ready. But transmission is not existing alone. When you talk of power sector, you have the generation, you have transmission and the distribution. So you discover that, in fact, as long as transmission is concerned, we are ready.
While TCN is maintaining power systems nationwide, the federal government is also constructing a chemical laboratory for the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency to ensure materials used for maintenance of transformers are of the right quality and specifications.
Impact is to ensure that, 1, there is safety of life and property. There is safety to ascertain the incipient faults on the transformer before it starts, because the transformer oil we analyze is like the lifeline of the transformer.
The transformer is in service, it's working. So the function of the silica gel is to allow the air to pass through it before getting into the transformer. Why is air moving? The ambient temperature within the transformer, it changes as it's working and with the environment. When there is a higher temperature, the oil inside increases in volume, sort of. So we leave a little space in the conservator tank, just a spare tank for extra oil. So the oil will rise there instead of spilling out or there being excess pressure within the transformer tank. Now when the temperature comes down, the air will go down and the air needs to be replaced, balancing the pressure, so no excess pressure. So when the air is returning inside, it passes through the silica gel. All this moisture in the environment will not be able to pass in with it. The moisture is bad for our windings, and the working parts of the transformer to increase the working life of the transformer.
The power transmission equipment installed include transformers, protective devices, metering circuits, as well as state-of-the-art control panels to facilitate the wheeling of more reliable power to the distribution companies and the people of Nigeria.
If you were just joining us, the program is Infrastructure Weekly, where we take a closer look at the infrastructure development agenda of the Buhari administration. For comments, feedback and inquiries, you can reach us on facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at infra_weekly. Join us after this break for a look at development in the road sector. Welcome back. The Ibadan-Oyo-Ogbomoso-Ilorin Road is a major artery of the road linking the southwest to the northern parts of the country through Jeba to Mokwa and other parts of the country. But for many years, due to traffic and the state of the road, many travelers and road users have always taken longer alternative roads to get to their destinations. With the award of the road by the Obasanjo government in the early part of his first term as president, many thought their suffering on the road would become a thing of the past. Though it took longer for the Ibadan-Oyo section and the Ogbomoso-Ilorin section to be completed, the longer section of the road, the Oyo-Ogbomoso stretch, was left unawarded until the advent of the Jonathan government. But since then, it was left without funding. But now, the case is different. Let's take a look at the present situation of the road.
The Ibadan-Oyo dual carriage road, as completed, is the first phase of the Ibadan-Ilorin route to be constructed by the federal government. The second phase is the Oyo to Ogbomoso end, falling between kilometer 43 and 95. After initial abandonment, contractors are massively back on site to get the road delivered.
It's a virgin land where we are putting the road. So the activity starts from clearing. After the clearing, then you do the earthwork to formation level. After the formation level, you put the sub base, you put the base cost, then you put the wearing cost. You put the bander cost before the wearing cost. That is what we want to achieve on this road.
The construction, which is at different stages, is experiencing steady progress from clearing, artwork, sub-base, base costs, and the wearing costs. Rock blasting is also ongoing to connect the roads.
It's going to at least reduce the incessant accidents that happen on the old road. Because it's like on a weekly basis you have breakdown on that road that people may have to stay like 3-4 days not able to pass through that road. If we are here like on Wednesday or Tuesday, that's what I'm talking about. That people had to divert into this road to be able to, have their way and to go away. So that is one. Then the second one is that it's going to reduce the traveling time for people because this is a dual carriageway. And another one is a single lane where vehicles, face each other. So when you have a dual carriageway, you don't have any vehicle facing you. You can move as you like. It's going to make traveling between Lagos and the north very easy. Very, very easy because this road is a trans-Saharan road. It's from the southwest to the north.
Residents of Ilupeju area of Oyo town appreciate the work of the federal government while seeking speedy completion of the projects.
We really thank our government for allowing this project. Actually, it's open like this, but many of after they have started this construction, many of the peoples are being moved to this area. Even the transport is very going through.
This section 2 starts from 43 to 95. But as I speak with you, we are between 48 and 49 now. This location we are standing, So this is about 5 kilometers from the beginning. That's the location that we are now. The work is progressing. As we go along the road, you see what I've done.
With the completion of the Oyo-Bomosho end, the Trans-Sahara Road will be connecting Lagos from the southwest to the northern part of the country.
Thanks for staying tuned. For comments, inquiries and feedback, join us on facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter @infra_weekly. Join us after this break for a look into the National Housing Program in both Edo and Delta State. Don't go away.
Coming together of opportunity. This is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
The National Housing Program, currently on in 33 states, has reached an appreciable level in both Edo and Delta State and has also helped in empowering local communities, artisans and others. Let's take a listen to the impacts the program is making on the local economy in both states.
The ongoing National Housing Program by the federal government in Benin, Edo State, is generating over 3,000 employments for skilled and unskilled workers, including contractors, artisans, building material suppliers, block molders, as well as empowerment to families within the locality and Nigeria at large. Julius Ibekwe is a beneficiary and his wife a food vendor at the site. Regina Ibekwe commends the federal government for creating means of livelihood for some of them through the project, while stating that she earns about 35,000 naira daily. The Ibekwe couple has generated money to take care of their children's education and also bought a land to build their own house.
I benefited very well. So my wife is selling here. She's making money. I am working for them very well. Their things are not losing, so the community is good also. They are not coming here to take what does not belong to them.
I thank God for giving me opportunity this hour to speak. I thank God as na open here for me, and they sell well, and that they use the money where I say here they train my children. I thank God for the good thing where una do for me. God go bless una. Here open and they make our area to open. It make the village open more.
The 64-unit housing project is located at Edumwen, Eigie, along Benin-Auchi Road in Umwode local government area of the state. During an inspection tour by the Ministry of Power Works and Housing, site managers say the ongoing project has about 12 different contractors and is at 80% completion stage.
The quality is good. Specification is very good, and the bottom line of this project is that everything we are using is from Nigeria. Nothing is imported. From the cement to the doors, they are all locally made.
Since we have been working, we employ so many people, and then the atmosphere is good. We are enjoying the work.
My income has enhanced, and I've had the opportunity to also get more experience as it has to do with house building.
I am a carpenter here, and with the work I am doing here, I feed my family and pay my children's school fees, so I thank God.
Road construction is also ongoing at the site for easy access to the housing estate, which will in turn boost economic activities in the state.
The project is ongoing. By the special grace of God, as you can see, the work is moving. Okay. My equipments are here. We have been able to clear the site, and we're facing the topsoil on the site. As soon as we evacuate the topsoil, then filling is the next.
The National Housing Estate in Aniola North Local Government Area of East Sele Azagba, Delta State, has 68 units of residential buildings and a condominium of 24 units. It has created over 1,000 employment opportunities for the people, and the construction of houses also includes schools and recreation centers.
We are doing this project for the benefit of the public. The benefit is twofold. There's economic benefit on the workers, the community, the contractors, and even the staff, in-house staff, because everything is local content, 100%.
There's need for us to provide adequate security here. So we have to meet with the police and with the SSS. But for now, there's no security situation in this place. This place is peaceful, and that's why you can see workers working conveniently without any problem.
The electrical infrastructure contractor is already on course. This estate is going to have a good electrical distribution system comprising of transformers, overhead distribution unit, street lighting. So when you may be passing through here, when the estate is finally finished, you think it is another Dubai. Because if you have ever been to Dubai, in the night you think it is daylight. So everywhere will be lighted up. And interestingly too, there is provision for good water distribution scheme. In this estate, there's provision for borehole, treatment plant, tower, and overhead tanks. We cannot talk of a good planning without open spaces. Open spaces for facilities such as recreational areas, nursery schools, green beds, post office, commercial areas, and so on and so forth. So there is also provision for all of these facilities in this housing estate.
With all these positive projects across the country by the President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government, its objectives are to address and improve socio-economic conditions through employment generation, poverty alleviation, and empowerment of Nigerians.
That will be all on today's episode of the program. Before we go, let's all join hands together to protect public utilities so that they will last longer and bring the needed benefits for putting them in place for all Nigerians. Let's continue the conversation on Facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter @infra_weekly. Lastly, pay your tax. I'm Abosede Omowi. Bye for now.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
suspension of Ovie Omagege, the senator representing Delta Central Senatorial District, by the Senate has been nullified by a federal high court sitting in Abuja. Also on this program, we'll bring you updates on the legal battle between the Peace Corps of Nigeria and Nigerian police. Welcome, I am Basilo Kafo. Stay tuned for details. The Senate had on April 13 suspended Senator Omar Agege for 90 legislative days over his comment that the attempt to reorder the general election was targeted at President Muhammadu Buhari. The senator approached the Federal High Court in Abuja, and now the court, presided over by Justice Nnamdi Dimba, has nullified the suspension of the senator. In a judgment that lasted over 1 hour, the presiding judge, Justice Nnamdi Dimba, held that while the National Assembly had the powers to discipline its members, that the premise upon which Omar Agege's suspension was anchored was illegal. Although the court refused to grant any of the 7 prayers sought by the senator, it held that the suspension could not hold on grounds of the violence it did to the Constitution.
Well, the judgment given today is a testimony to the fact that democracy is working in Nigeria. There are 3 arms of government and there are checks and balances. The judiciary has checked the Senate over their overbearing attitude. Now, the judgment has taught everybody their responsibilities. They cannot exceed their duties. They cannot discipline a legislator for more than 14 days. And they must follow due process. That is what the judgment is all about.
The judge also ordered that the senator be paid all his allowances and salaries for the period he was illegally suspended.
As we have addressed the court, that the Honorable Attorney General actually came in to assist the court within the scope of his constitutional role as the defender and the protector of the Constitution. And like what we had today, I think essentially the judgment is a plus to the rule of law, to the adherence to the judicial precedents, and essentially the limitations and the citizens' rights is what we can find out, because I think essentially it is a victory to the supremacy of law.
The Senate had on April 13 suspended the senator for 90 legislative days over his comment that the amendment to the Electoral Act 2010 seeking the reordering of the general elections was targeted at President Muhammadu Buhari. Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has delivered a judgment in the legal action instituted by the Accord Party challenging the constitutionality of the ongoing amendment of the Electoral Act by the National Assembly. The judge held that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is the only body that is constitutionally empowered to organize, undertake and supervise election in Nigeria, and therefore the move to alter the election timetable was unconstitutional. Justice Ahmed agreed with the position of the plaintiff's counsel that the action of the National Assembly is a clear breach of paragraph 15A of the 3rd schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended.
The position of the court is that the powers given to INEC under the Constitution, particularly section 15A of the 3rd schedule of the Constitution, cannot be taken away by an amendment of the National Assembly or a bill or an act of National Assembly. They have to first go to the Constitution, have it amended before they can take such powers, and not to go behind the doors to take away such a power. That's one. Then 2, the Constitution has given the power to INEC to fix dates, conduct elections. You know, the order of election, the sequence, everything is within the powers of the INEC, and no other body or agency can so do without INEC doing this. And having done it by INEC, INEC has already set out the timetable for the conduct of elections in 2019.
Representatives of the party that instituted the suit, and they hailed the court verdict, describing it as a victory to democracy. A representative of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abba Kamalami, also commended the judgment.
We thank God for what happened today. We brought this matter to court because we are seeking for clarification, and we want democracy to be observed to the letter. We brought this matter here because we felt the National Assembly was trying to intimidate the INEC, because they are appropriate for INEC. And if it is allowed to go like this, definitely there will be intimidation. INEC may not have the independence. So we are trying to make the public know that INEC is independent, and all other segments of government should allow INEC to perform independently.
Today is a confirmation of the position of the Honorable Attorney General that the National Assembly do not possess the constitutional powers to deny INEC its constitutional powers. I think that's the summary of it all. INEC is constitutionally empowered to organize, supervise elections. And the word to organize, to supervise have been clearly dealt with. So the issue is, can INEC now take that power away by a bill or an act? The position of the Honorable Attorney General is that National Assembly do not possess that powers. And that's what the court has just done today by way of confirming that position of the Constitution, referring to several Supreme Court authorities that has been in that line. So I think it's victory for the supremacy of the Constitution and victory for all Nigerians.
However, the National Assembly, through its council, has vowed to approach the Court of Appeal to challenge the judgment.
We want to test the decision upstairs. We are heading to the Court of Appeal because we are not satisfied with the reasons His Lordship gave. For instance, he relied on the obiter dictum in Attorney General Bender State against Attorney General Federation. That was not the ratio in that case, and that decision is decisive of this type of dispute. And secondly, we challenged the local standard of the plaintiff because they did not tender the certificate of registration. We also submitted some Supreme Court decisions to that effect. That aspect was completely left out of the judgment. Thirdly, in our own humble opinion, the judgment did not take care of the alterations to the Constitution. The decisions His Lordship relied on to the effect that INEC has unfettered powers to alter or to order elections has been altered by the Constitution itself.
While delivering the judgment, the judge granted all the reliefs sought by the plaintiff, except the one asking the court to stop President Muhammadu Buhari from assenting the bill on the grounds that it has been overtaken by event. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, will on May 16 rearraign the former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, before an Abuja High Court on amended 32-count charge bordering on alleged fraud. Dasuki, alongside his fellow accused persons, were first arraigned in 2015. The ruling delivered by Justice Ahmed Mohammed on whether the items allegedly recovered by DSS should be displayed in the open court or not, the judge held that the weapons comprising various guns be tendered as exhibit by the DSS in the trial of SNSA in the charges of unlawful possession of firearms and money laundering brought against him by the federal government. Dasuki's counsel had objected against the public display of the weapons in the open court, but Justice Mohammed ruled that it is in the interest of justice and fair play to both the prosecution and defense that the alleged weapons be demonstrated in the court. The judge agreed with the prosecution that Dasuki, as a defendant in the trial, will not be prejudiced if the alleged weapons are displayed and tendered as exhibit by those who investigated the allegations against him.
It was going on well until they raised objection to the tendering of the items recovered at his official residence. And, well, like lawyers would do, they raised an objection and we reacted to the objection they raised.
A prosecution witness, Williams Obiora, an operative of DSS who testified behind a protective screen in line with the order of the court, informed the judge that he was part of the team ordered by the Director General of DSS in 2015 to carry out search on Dasuki's house based on intelligence report that weapons injurious to national security were in his house.
Their position was that it should not be tendered in public, and that it should not be tendered in public, and we had a different view on that. And the court agreed with our view that there is nothing that had been established why it should not be tendered in public.
Meanwhile, the matter has been adjourned till May 22nd and 24th for the display of the alleged weapons and continuation of trial. Let's go for a short break, but when we come back, we will give you more report. Don't go away.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about force.
Now, you see, let me
say
this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
Welcome back. The National Commandant of the Peace Corps of Nigeria, this in Akko, has asked a federal high court sitting in Abuja to suspend his trial indefinitely on the ground that Nigerian police, that is the prosecution, has failed to obey the court order that was made in his favor. Akko is being prosecuted by Nigerian police on allegations bordering on money laundering. The National Commandant of Peace Corps of Nigeria, this in Akko, is asking the Federal High Court in Abuja to put his trial on hold following what he calls persistent refusal of the police to unseal the headquarters of the organization in Abuja since February 28, 2016. In a motion supported with 16-paragraph affidavit, the defendant drew the attention of the court to its decision of January 16, 2018, where the police was ordered to immediately vacate the premises of the Peace Corps and allow the defendant unfettered access to the office. Through his counsel, the defendant insisted that the action of the police was capable of truncating the nation's democracy and the rule of law, as well as cause anarchy, urging the court to compel the police to respect the order before the trial can continue.
In January 15 precisely, this court made an order directing the federal government of Nigeria and by extension the Nigerian police to unseal the headquarters office of the Nigerian Peace Corps. Before this order was made, in November, a sister judge, Honorable Justice Gabriel Kolawole, also made similar order directing the Nigerian police to unseal their headquarters office at Jabi. Up to the time of this moment, the office has remained under seal. You would also recall that the House Committee, of the National Assembly also had a public hearing. After hearing from all the parties, also came up with a resolution directing the federal government and the Nigerian police to unseal the head office of the Peace Corps. But they have refused to comply with the orders of this court and both that of the National Assembly. We are only aware that they have appealed against the judgment of Honorable Justice Gabriel Kolawole, but the order made by Honorable Justice John Soho, before whom we have come now, has not been appealed against. No application or order of stay is even pending in this court.
However, counsel to the prosecution, Andrew Don Obo, urged the court to refuse the prayer of the defendant as contained in his motion on notice. He claimed that Section 306 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 did not permit stay of proceedings in a criminal matter and pleaded with the judge not to entertain the motion. Efforts made to get his reaction was not successful, but defense counsel further speaks on the matter.
There is no reason, there is no justification why they should remain in disobedience of the order of the court. And that is why we are asking the court to adjourn this matter pending when they comply with the court's order. One of the reasons why we came up with this application is that the facilities required for their defense is in those offices. Until they gain access to those offices, they will not be able to prepare adequately for their defense as contained under Section 36, Sub 6B of the 1999 Constitution.
After listening to arguments from both parties, the trial judge, Justice John Soho, fixed June 11 for ruling in the application.
The application that is currently before the court, the substantive case, is directly in touch with the public hearing of the House of Representatives on hijab. Whereas the parties seeking to be joined had responded to the public request made by the House of Reps for memoranda on that particular issue. These parties seeking to be joined presented a memorandum and on 2 different occasions mobilized our members from different parts of Nigeria to be at the General Assembly. And on these two occasions, the public hearing was aborted. The second one being aborted on the premise that there was a pending matter, this very suit. You can see that definitely the adjoinder is highly meritorious, because in law you are either a necessary party or not. We have three types of parties, but in this case we have proper party, we have a necessary party, and a desirable party. In this case, hijab rights advocacy initiative is a necessary party, and if I will oblige you with copies of the processes we have filed. You will see it from the affidavit alone. You will see it. This rights advocacy initiative of hijab, they have members that are doctors, that are lawyers, that are engineers, and the rest, and they all are done hijab. By the time the good intention of the House of Rep to do justice to the issue of hijab is scuttled by way of the court, a lot of them are going to be affected.
Let's go for a short break, but when we come back, we will give you more report. Don't go away.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Welcome back to this final lap of the program. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has adjourned till June 3rd for the continuation of the trial of former Group Managing Director of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Andrew Yakubu. Yakubu, just like others, is being prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on allegations bordering on money laundering. After the court proceedings, the EFCC counsel was not around to speak, but counsel to Yakubu was on ground, and he provided insight on what transpired during the court proceedings.
Basically, they called another witness, and the witness has just come to tender his declaration of asset, which is submitted to the commission, and that he omitted mentioning some of this money. And that is just the whole evidence, what is evidence all about. It means the interim attachment remains, and until this criminal matter is disposed of, nothing can happen to the money. It remains where it is. That is the implication. The government cannot touch it. He cannot touch it. The money remains on interim attachment, and that's all.
The Open Government Partnership is an international multi-stakeholders initiative focused on improving transparency, citizen participation, and responsiveness to citizens through technology and innovations. President Buhari, who was represented by his vice, Yemi Osinbajo, at the event that attracted both international and foreign stakeholders, disclosed that since Nigeria joined OGP in 2017, that the government has become more transparent in running the nation's affairs. As a way of showing open governance and accountable leadership, Nigerian authorities maintained that recovered funds are now being invested on infrastructure projects.
Since 2017, our annual national budgets have included a line item on revenue generated from asset recoveries. All funds forfeited to the federal government are being included in our yearly budget proposals for appropriation by the National Assembly. We've also committed to investing these recovered funds on infrastructure projects and our National Social Investment Program. In addition, we've submitted a bill to the National Assembly for the purpose of enacting a more comprehensive legislation on proceeds of crime. The successes recorded from the implementation of the OGP framework have contributed in no small measure to the improvement in the perception of Nigeria's business environment by investors, businesses, and the international community. Through the work of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment and the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, who are also members of the OGP National Steering Committee, Nigeria moved 20 places up on the World Bank's 2017 Ease of Doing Business Index. The reforms, many of them heavily dependent on technology, have seen business registration time reduced to under 48 hours, simplified processes for paying taxes and obtaining Nigerian visas, and improved access not just to credit by businesses, but also to credit information by potential lenders.
An opportunity to take stock of what has been our achievement so far and try to take an inventory of challenges we face currently and brainstorm on how best to overcome them.
Other key members of OGP, United Nations, and the United States of America want Nigerian government to continue open and transparent leadership as stipulated by the organization.
Transparency matters for sustainable development. All around the world, there are people who seek to have what Nigeria has. A government that acknowledges that its partnership with its citizens is its government.
According to the organizers, the stakeholders here, both government officials and civil society groups, are expected to brainstorm on how government can be more accountable to the citizens.
We are moving gradually to a situation where we want the people in the communities to know that when a road is going through your community, that the government has paid money for that road to be constructed. And therefore, you can access that information, you can ask questions, you will know through the open contracting platform who is constructing that road. And you can ask about whether that road is being properly constructed or not. With the Budget Office platform, we've set up what we call the Citizens Eye Monitor platform. So citizens can go there, you can ask questions, you can send information about things that are not being properly done with government projects.
Nigeria joined OGP in 2017, making it the 70th country that belonged to the organization, which has its sole aim of entrenching good governance among member countries. Well, this is the size of our package on this week, but join us again as we bring you updates on the activities happening within and outside the judiciary. Keep watching and remain blessed. I am Basil Okafor.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure. He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I'm about thought.
Now, you see, let me
say this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues. A very good morning to you. Welcome to Core Digest. I'm your host, Emmanuel Ajayi, and I'll be taking you on the flight of the program this beautiful Tuesday morning. Quite interesting stories that we have for you on the program. This morning, we'll be looking at the Shiites versus the police clash yesterday. Many issues arising from this particular story, as we have been developing stories on this one. And also on the 2019 elections, as political parties having internal wranglings on their stance concerning the 2019 election. Well, the program promises to be instructive, educative, and entertaining, and that's why you need not to leave the screen as we bring to you every bit and pieces of Core Digest this morning. We kickstart with news making headlines now. President Muhammadu Buhari is in Jigawa State for a 2-day working visit. He landed at the Duse International Airport on Monday, where he was received by the state governor, Badaru Abubakar, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State, Minister of Interior, Ministers of State for Aviation, as well as Budget and National Planning. Well, it was a mammoth crowd at that particular gathering yesterday. Let's take a listen to this one.
To a large extent, yes, because I can tell you that we have the funds now to finish this project. We are not going to be waiting for budgetary allocation.
And away from that one now, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja dismissed a suit against the aborted attempt by the All Progressives Congress to extend the tenure of its national leader, talking about John Odige, Oyego, and other elected officials of the party. Justice Namadi Dimba, in a judgment, held that the attempt was unconstitutional, but that since the party has reversed the decision on the tenure extension, the matter has become hypothetical and academic. Well, take a listen to this one.
Hypothetical questions or academic questions are not answered by the court, but the obiter dicta in the judgment, they are to guide for future conduct, which is okay, because before now, we have never had a direct pronouncement by any court of law in Nigeria as he has done today, which is okay for all the players in the political field to guide. And then in future, anybody that wants to extend tenure will be referred to what he has said in the judgment.
There is no need deciding the substantial issue on the merits. But as for whether or not there was an attempt to elongate the tenure of APC executive members from the national to the world executive, the court said yes. From evidence before me, I am satisfied that there was an attempt to illegally extend the tenure of the National Executive Committee, state, world, and local governments, and that it might be as a result of this pending suit before me or other supervening circumstances that may have prompted the APC to now decided to abide by the rule of law.
Lawyers there on Oyegun's suit are dismissed. Well, today, Nigerians are indeed expecting the suspended Senator Ovie Omagege, but the Senate leadership in a swift reaction to the statement credited to the Delta North Senator, Ovie Omagege, that he will appear in the Red Chamber Tuesday in defiance to the 90 days suspension slammed on him, says that the senator is free to resume his legislative duties pending the determination of an appeals filed against the court ruling nullifying his suspension. This position is contained in a press statement signed by Senate spokesman Shabi Abdullahi, saying that the decision is in obedience to the court's judgment, adding that to him, lawyers to Holding the brief, the Senate on the matter have advised that the senator be allowed to return pending the determination of a motion for stay execution filed against the ruling of the Court of Appeal. And that's what we have there. Well, the senators indeed are expecting him to be at plenary. Are we going to see another drama? Only time will tell. A coalition of civil society organizations led by the Our Mumu Don't Do movement has besieged the Ministry of Justice headquarters in Abuja, calling on President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration to declare the killer herdsmen as a terror group. The coalition would condemn the alleged prosecution of a prescription of the indigenous people of Biafra as a terrorist group, while it drags to do some to the killer group known as the herdsmen. And that's what you have there on the screen, talking about Charlie Boy, indeed saying, why are we still waiting before we can declare the herdsmen as terror group? Take a listen to this particular one.
People from outside Nigeria, terrorists from outside Nigeria, and they cannot put a stop to it. People are invading our country, and they sit down there to talk, and they cannot protect us. Then why are they in government if they can't protect us? Okay, you go and you prescribe IPOB as a terrorist group that has not killed anybody. And then you're failing to prescribe these headsmen that are killing people on a daily basis.
Asking the federal government of Nigeria to designate the killer headsmen as terrorist group and to prescribe the organization, and including organizations who are attached to them, because they become a threat to the continuous existence of this country. So we brought a letter to the Office of Attorney General reminding him the need for them to do justice to this nation by prescribing them.
It is important for the federal government of Nigeria to do that, because they have designated IPOD and other organizations as terror groups. And these are the people killing. And where are they coming from? And it is the fundamental duty of the federal government of Nigeria to protect lives and property. So it is their duty to also prescribe this body and designate them as a terror group, so that the killings, the unlawful killings will end.
Thank God you've been able to make your presentation. And I promise you that I'm going to give it directly to the Attorney General through the Solicitor General of the Federation, who is my boss. You will hear from them in due course.
Well, that's a promise. You'll hear from them in due course. And Mumu Don't Do staging a peaceful protest there in Abuja, saying declare herdsmen as terrorists. So when are we going to have that declaration? Will the federal government yield to this particular request? Well, away from this right now, the Islamic movement in Nigeria have again disrupted activities at the nation's capital following a chaotic display by members of the group and officers of the Nigerian police. The Shiite demonstrators took over part of the central business district on the hospital venue housing the Federal Secretariat's complex, Abuja, protesting the continued detention of their leader, Ibrahim El-Zazaki. Take a listen to this one.
The freedom of our leader, who has been kept under illegal detention for more than 2 years, despite court judgment, court order, the federal government to free him within 45 days. But today is 108 months. The government is keeping mute and is keeping him with life-threatening injury. One of his eye is already blind, and the other one is at the verge. And the doctors has requested that the government should free him and fly him abroad for medical treatment, because they don't have facilities here in Nigeria to handle his case.
And away from this one now, corruption, incompetence, and delay in dispensation of justice have been identified as the core enemies of judicial integrity in Nigeria. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, who was represented by the Justice Olabode Rhodes Vivo at the Lagos State Judiciary first biannual lecture, ordered that these enemies need to be tackled if judiciary must earn the respect of the citizens. Take a listen to this one.
It's very fundamental that we come together as a family of the legal profession and talk to ourselves, tell ourselves the home truth, and assess ourselves. That is the way we can improve in what we are doing, in our performance, in serving the people of Lagos State.
Public assessment of the integrity of the judiciary is usually dependent on the level of information available, the interaction and transparency of the system itself. Oftentimes, this is based entirely on uniform and wrong perceptions.
It's an aberration of justice, because justice delayed is justice denied. Therefore, if we are going to have a case lasting, I have personal remembrance of them for 20 years. Even the effect of judgment will be almost useless. Some of the litigants will have passed away.
The judiciary that is not independent, it's not a judiciary. We are pontificating. We are not talking about the independence of the judiciary. Some judges, some chief judges of states are here. With all respect for some chief judges of states, they are merely headmasters. Because they don't have anything. If you're talking of independence, you don't have independence of law forms.
And that's how much you can take on the news making headlines. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at the front page of the dailies. Good morning once again.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into its hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
On Digi 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country?
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that panel.
Digi 360, providing clarity to issues.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station. CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
On the day list this morning, Nigerians encourage corruption, cites June 1st of the Punch newspaper. And mentions Nigerian Governor Forum calls for Okonjo Iweala's resignation. Page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
The Daily, every day on CoreTV News.
Welcome back on the program. Well, this morning we are now on the dailies, and I have here the Vanguard newspaper, the Guardian, the Punch, and our last point of call is the Nation newspaper. I've been joined by Rex Kennedy Sutlove. He's a public affairs analyst and also President, Executive Director of Citizens Liberation Initiative. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Well, we'll kickstart with the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Corruption started after me. This is coming from Go On. Arts that we didn't know corruption during our time. It is a lie. Your government's also guilty. This is coming from Sage Musa Fashion Okoromo. We need solution, not blame game. Adebanjo speaking. 320 million US dollar Abacha loot to go to poor Nigerians. The president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, there speaking. And we have the picture story of the anti-corruption here from the left. Former head of state, General Abdulsalam Abubakar, former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, Commonwealth Secretary General Baroness Patricia, Scotland Vice President there. Also, we have the Vice President of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, Acting Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Laji Ibrahim Mago there, and all other dignitaries at that particular gathering. Impeachment saga, armed policemen take over Kano Assembly, page 35 of the Vanguard newspaper. Patient groan as health workers strike persist, page 39 of the Vanguard newspaper. Doesn't die in Gaza as U.S. Embassy opens in Jerusalem, page 44 of the Vanguard newspaper. Let's go to the masthead now. Ultimatum. That's the end. PDP. That's the new PDP splits as Abdullahi Adamu's faction disowned Baraje Oyinlola. So that means there is another faction in the NPDP. Well, let me let you speak at this time. What do you make of this one? Ultimatum. This is going to be part of our discussion this morning. We'll be looking at internal wranglings in political party. What's your take on this?
Well, there will always be, because people will always like to protect their interests. That is the first thing. The majority of the politicians in our setting are not fighting for the masses. And that is the reason why people are shifting blocks and cross-carpeting. Because if you begin to look at, which is part of things that we're going to discuss on, the people at the new NPDP, new PDP, that are all members of APC right now, they left from PDP, and now they are still cross-carpeting. And with the new alignment that is coming on now with the ADC and SDP and other parties, obviously you see a lot of people still cross-carpeting.
Okay, it's all about alignment and realignment for the 2019 elections. But big one on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Corruption started after me. Go on speaking. You're smiling. Well, Sutlove, what do you make of this?
I will smile because it was the same Gowon that said that we have so much money, we don't know what to do with it. And when you have so much money and you don't know what to do with it, you give room for abuse of mismanagement of funds, and it goes into private pockets. So what do you call corruption? When you begin to bypass due process of achieving something. So you can't say they start with him. It will not be very evident the way it is right now. But obviously there was corruption.
And well, it's a lie. Your government also guilty. Sage has given reaction to that. Musa Fashion,
yes, they will back it up with proof and evidence to him. But the truth is both of them are right. This is not the time for blame game.
Okay.
This is time to provide solution from where we are coming from to where we are going.
320 million US dollar budget loads to go to poor Nigerians. So how do we define Nigerians that are
poor? We
poor?
have to define who are poor Nigerians. Are they the graduates that are leaving universities that are not even employed at all and don't have a means of livelihood? Are they people who are employed and they are underpaid? Or are they people who are in the streets? Nigeria is 180 million in number, conservatively. Now, if you carry 320 million naira and you say you want to give $1 million or 1 million whatever to people, they will make something meaningful out of that. But secondly, how are you going to develop the database for the poor that we will know say this money does not go into the hand of private individuals?
Okay, Leah Sharibo at 15, the pain waits continues on the front page.
It's very painful because
the
government consciously told us they specifically negotiated for the release of the people that were kidnapped in that chain. Why was she excluded?
Okay, that's a big story at this time.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the Mr. and Mrs. Quite comical this morning.
Yeah.
Let's listen to this. He told me he told my friend that he's a banker when they were dating. She discovered that he's just an office assistant after marriage. Men are deceitful. That's the comment coming from the missus.
From the missus, yeah.
Now, how deceitful are men? Listen to the response. Things are not what they look like. Figure 9 is just one figure instead of 9 and a 4-letter word. So are men deceitful?
Well, I'm a clergy first.
Okay, a banker, and discover that he's an office assistant.
Yeah, she should not follow what the friend told him. She should have found out by herself.
Really? Well, that's just what I want to derive from that. But I got that comic relief from you.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And the big story here says gunmen in Bayelsa attack Air Force helipad, kill airman, and Air Vice Marshal order investigation into this one. Gunmen in Bayelsa attack Air Force helipad, kill airman. Indeed, quite pathetic there. And we have the picture story here of the civic rights movement. Mumudondo marches against killing of innocent Nigerians by herdsmen in Abuja. Well, they're talking that they should be declared as terrorists.
Seriously.
Are you also sharing in this?
Very more than I more than agree with them. You get something like that.
Okay, Rivers Assembly to petition UN, EU over invasion of judiciary. Yeah, President seeks reform of Convention on Recovery of Stolen Assets. APC leaders talks Buhari on rule of law. And resident structures in grave danger as tankers trucks defy Lagos government military's orders to quit bridges. Judiciary needs men of honor to deal with executive recklessness, says CJN.
Yeah.
Do you also share this?
Very much, yeah.
Okay. Federal government promises early completion of 22.3 billion naira Lagos Ota Bekuta Expressway. Police arrested alleged Jewish worshipper for terrorism. Federal government promises early completion of 22.3 billion naira Lagos Ota Bekuta Expressway. What do you make of this?
It will be a big relief if that is achieved. Because some of us do ply that road and we know how terrible it is. And if that one is achieved, it's going to be a big plus for this administration, honestly.
Okay, let's move on now to the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. And the big story here says graft won't end until justice catches up with corrupt leaders. This is coming from Shoyinka, page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Serap Kakol, CD Bags Nobel laureate. And we have the picture story of troops rescue old man from Boko Haram. Page 14, of the Punch News. What do they make of this picture story?
And where Boko Haram has been merciless, they have not considered human being. And secondly, we will still through some. It's not blame. We will hold the government responsible for not meeting up to its promises by saying that by the moment they come to power within 6 months, Boko Haram will be extinct. And yet, the 3 years that we are still contending with the issues of Boko Haram kidnapping and people doesn't speak well of a man who has been in the military as head of state and in various capacity, and is not able to live up to his words and what he has said.
Are you saying that the president has not been able to live up to his words with the successes we are seeing in the fight against this terrorist group?
Well, the previous administration was already attaining some level of success from about 6 states that were almost being occupied by Boko Haram by setting them back to a certain level, almost about 3 or thereabout. If you come into office, you see, by the time you come within 6 months, this thing should be addressed and we'll have peace of mind. And 3 years, we are still battling it and we are arresting people. That's not a big achievement compared to what you tell the masses.
Are you saying Nigerians are not having peace of mind to contend this one? When last did you visit the Northeast?
I've not visited the Northeast for some time. Despite the fact that I stayed in the North for about 18 years. I was in Middle Belt, Niger State, Kaduna, and all those particular places. But from what I have friends who come from the Northeast that told me that there is at least slight level of peace.
Okay.
Honestly speaking, slight level of peace. But the incessant attack of Boko Haram, if it is not S-men today, it is Boko Haram. And they are being given new names now by government to become armed bandits. Where did they get the arm from? Who is arming them?
Okay, well, that's a story for another day. Let's move on now to the more stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Banker links Fayoshe to 1.2 billion naira allegedly collected from Dansuki. Page 11 of the Punch newspaper. The CO injured, vehicle vandalized as Shiite police clash. This is one of our big stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. APC crisis cracks in NPDP as ultimatum expires. So there's another cracking even in the NPDP. So where exactly are we going? These are more issues we'll be looking at on the program this morning. Investors lose 125 billion naira as 32 stocks fail. Page 27 of the Punch newspaper. 2 Nigerians batter fellow students over who has the richest dad. This is quite funny.
That is, it's not just funny, it's still pathetic.
Okay.
Because students should not be talking about where they should be talking about value they are going to add in the society, not who is the richest dad. It should be what value are we going to put in the society. If they were fighting over ideas,
okay, or creativity.
Yeah.
FJ begins repair of Lagos Abeokuta Expressway, page 24 there of the Punch. Let's go on to the masthead now. Nwako Ajiboye make provisional walk-up lists, page 45 there of the Punch newspaper. You watch football?
Very much.
All right. Well, you did tell me that you're one of the fans of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yeah, very much. I'm interested to my country.
So, where do you see them at the World Cup? Final, semi-final?
I told my family
quarter-final?
I want them to get to semi-final. I want to carry the cup safe.
Okay, you're quite optimistic.
Very, very much. We have the strike force. We have the team.
Okay, NMPC issues a 2-year crude lifting contract to traders. Page 23 of the Punch newspaper this morning. We only recognize authorized congresses. APC speaking, and you have the picture story of John Odigo Yegun there. Judges appointed politicized. CJN laments. It's a lamentation from the CJN at this time. BBOG demands updates on rescue as Leah Sharibu clocks 15.
It will be a growing concern. We will hold the government responsible because they said they negotiated for the guests to be released. Why was she excluded?
Okay. Let's move on now to the front page of the Nation newspaper. And the big story is ex-PDP leaders to Buhari shown ultimatum for talks. Baraje Oyinlola lied, says Adamu. Oshimbajo, why loot recovery is tough. Why is this tough?
I think it's the legal framework. Because the legal framework for recovering loot is very clear and not too ambiguous, leaving a lot of clauses inside that can allow people to do bargaining, plea bargain, and every other thing. I think it will be very easy. It is not go value for plea bargain.
And we have the list of the ex-and PDP chiefs and what they got. Bukola Saraki, Senate President, Yakubu Dogara, House of Reps Speaker, well, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, Chairman, Senate Committee on Agriculture there, and Abdullah Adamu, Senator Adalo Alero, Chairman, Senate Committee on Customs, and there you have quite a list of them, like that. Senator Rabi Kwankaso, Chairman, Senate Committee on National Planning, and Senator Danjuma Goje, Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriation there. And we have Buratai two soldiers arrest killer bandits in 3 weeks. This is another ultimatum.
And they don't come to pass.
Are you saying they don't come to pass?
They don't show us proof that they have achieved any progress in what they have done.
You
How
get
many of the killer bandits will they be able to arrest?
You get details of that on page 41 there of the Nation newspaper. PDP molds Dankwabo for president. Really?
Let them get them out first. We are still watching until they bring out their final candidates. Every person is what do we call it? Any person is a potential candidate within PDP.
Oh, you call them potential aspirants?
Potential aspirant, yeah.
Okay.
Potential aspirant, yeah.
Rivers APC Abe 6 presidential or president help, page 42 there of the Nation newspaper. Lagos Abeokuta road repair to cost 22.3 billion naira. Moses Iwobi Michael, 27 others for walk-up. Page 47 of the Nation newspaper. And oil prices raised to 80 now.
No, that's encouraging.
US dollar per barrel. That's encouraging.
It's encouraging, sir.
Okay, and that's how much we can take on the news making headlines. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at the strikes versus the police clash in Abuja yesterday. Do not go anywhere. The show has just begun. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
On the day list this morning, Nigerians encourage corruption besides June first up the punch Alleges Nigerian Governors Forum calls for Okonjo's fearless resignation. Page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
The Daily, every day on CoreTV News.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News Broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. And Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station. CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV
Download
Primetime
CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion.
Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about fortune.
Now, you see, let me say this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues. Welcome back on the program. Well, this morning we'll be talking strikes versus police, the issues arising at this particular time. Yesterday we saw another clash with the Shiite and the police there in Abuja. And Nigerians are indeed wondering what exactly is happening concerning this particular clash coming from the Shiite members demanding the release of their leader, Ibrahim Al-Zazaki. Well, I still have my guest in the studio this morning, Rex Kennedy Sotlo. He is the President Executive Director of Citizens' Rights and Empowerment Advocacy Initiative, known as CREMA Initiative. Many thanks for staying tuned on the program this morning. What do you think is the major issue in all of this? Talking about the Shiite members demanding the release of their leader, Ibrahim Al-Zazaki.
It is giving us concern. Number one, this thing happened last month, at 23rd of April, and it's happening again. I don't know how regular this thing is going to be until it snowballs into something that we may not be able to handle. I think this was the way the issue of Joseph was started. Is it Joseph, the leader of Boko Haram, started? He was arrested and detained in police custody, and from there something happened. El-Zazaki is an old man. If anything happened to him, that this government is deliberately disobeying the judiciary in his release, and his followers are now protesting and attacking police officers first. It was the same way that Boko Haram started, and they were attacking police officers and police first before they became a terrorist group. Now the El-Zazaki issue is also following similar pattern, and for some of us who are watching from afar, it's something that will begin to give us concern. We are already dealing with two terrorist groups. Even if the federal government has not recognized Fulani herdsmen as terrorist group in this country, the United Nations declared them as the fourth most dangerous terrorist group in the world. And yet, we are having an issue now that is coming regular. Very soon it will become regular until maybe they become something else. Because their leader is dealing with something that's very fundamental in human life, and that is the spiritual and religious aspect of life. And these people are willing to be killed for their faith.
We can see what is happening there. There's an attack on the police armor tank. So where exactly are we going in all of this? If these people are demanding the release of their leader and they are going violent again, like what they did in 2015, December 12 and 14, precisely in 2015. We now have our legal practitioner, Samuel Adiola, join us on the program this morning. What do you make of this particular clash at this time?
It's an act of lawlessness, and I was surprised when my colleague here was saying something about a group being declared as a fourth. UN declare what group as a fourth?
Fulani herdsmen.
Okay, please let us be very careful the way we drop information. All right. UN has never declared Fulani herdsmen as the fourth dangerous. You are calling Fulani herdsmen. The people we know as Fulani herdsmen, they are the ones that pastoral the cows and all the rest. And I don't know where you get it from that the UN said the Fulani herdsmen are, or you are talking about Boko Haram, because there's a difference between the two. The Fulani herdsmen have never been considered as terrorist group and has never been declared as such. So please let's know the kind of information we'll be passing around. Be that as it may, the issue of El-Zaki and his faithfuls, I think I have to thank the police for their resilience and the kind of way they are handling their matter. Going by what we are seeing on the screen right now, if I had been the police of before, this is not what we will be talking about. Look at the way they did what they did to a vehicle belongs to the federal, to the Nigerian police, and yet we can still consider the fact that things are still normal from the side of the police, why the actions and inactions of these people are completely abnormal. I don't know how they are going to be checkmated, but they will be checkmated. That one I know.
Have you taken into consideration the flagrant disobedience of the judiciary that their leader should be released, which has not been done?
There is no flagrant disobedience of their leader being released. You don't hear one side and continue to carry it along as a deaf patient. There was.
Deaf person don't hear what?
Yes, doesn't hear what. He only the only direction he gives to him. Before you can tell him back, you have to run after him before you draw him back. And I think that is the way many people pick their information and they never look back. Here there was a court directive that the man should be released.
Yes.
But the federal government appealed it and the case is still at the appeal court. You understand? So be that as it may. And it has been said over time that this man is not under arrest. He's in a house where, I mean, he's not kept in prison. He's in a house. And according to the security report, true or false, that he's being kept even for the sake of himself. All these things happen when, with their doggedry and their fanaticism, they went to go and block a whole general who happens to be the chief of army staff. Because I heard you the other time that the man is doing their religious and spiritual kind of thing. If that's how you practice your own religion, I am afraid that somebody should begin to consider the fact that everything about religion should be dropped. How can you say that the man there, they are fighting because the man
is their religious leader,
is their religious leader and is doing something that happened to do? So if you are fighting for your religious leader, that is how you fight for your religious leader to be released?
You don't fight. See, these people are, I told you, Boko Haram case came up just the way their leader were being mishandled, and you are not addressing that particular issue. That was the way Boko Haram came.
Okay, let me get your take. The soft love in all of this. Yeah. What's your argument concerning this clash of the Shiites and the police?
I will not say it's normal. It's not legal. But these people are not just saying things that is legal now. They are trying to drive home a message. I don't advocate for violence. It cannot solve any problem. I won't advocate it. But they are saying that their leader should be relieved because that is their spiritual guide. It's the person they see. It's like somebody who you arrest his father and he has a means of expressing himself. He would rather prefer dying, trying to fight and get his father out.
Okay. Even when they are defending the father in court, even when the issue, do you know the person that is in charge of the case of Zakisaki?
They have people that should talk to them.
SAN is the lawyer that is defending him.
Yes.
And yes, the case is in court. He has always going to court and appear before the court for him. So if they cannot, if there's nobody to educate them, if there is nobody to educate them, if they continue like this, they will be declared an enemy combatant. Because what they are doing right now is to give an eye to people to say, because if the police fail to act now, every other person will look at it and beginning to copy at the end of the day, and the matter can snowball to something that we never expect.
But just a moment, gentlemen, let's get the response from one of the Shiite members that we interviewed yesterday, because these people are not saying what you're saying concerning Samuel Adiola. They are talking about the deteriorating health of their leader,
the man
Ibrahim El-Zaki. Take a listen to this before we get your reaction on that.
The freedom of our leader, who has been kept under illegal detention for more than 2 years, despite court judgment, court order, the federal government to free him within 45 days. But today is 108 months. The government is keeping mute and is keeping him with life-threatening injury. One of his eye is already blind and the other one is at the verge. And the doctors has requested that the government should free him and fly him abroad for medical treatment because they don't have facilities here in Nigeria to handle his case.
Well, that's one of the Shiite members there.
How does he know?
Okay, tell us more.
He said they have kept him for the past 1 year and 8 months.
108 days, he said. The court said he should be released within 45 days.
No. He said they have kept him for
180 months. Yes. Well, it was.
How does he know that
the clash happened in December 12 and 14?
So how does he know that the man is sick? He doesn't have a high that you have not seen for the past 2 years.
They are closer to him than you.
Okay, What are you
that is
arguing
obvious.
now?
There is lead that they get information.
What are you
that
arguing now?
There's not about information. See,
what are you arguing? Where did they get that information from?
Where did you get your own that is okay?
Did you hear what he said?
Where did you get your own that he's okay? Outside what they said.
Do you know what? Do you hear what he said?
Did you have information?
I don't know whether it's okay or it's not okay. The question I am telling you right now is this: if the guy said he has not been denied access to, he even said he have not been able to see him in the last 2 years, and he's now positive. You see, one thing I don't want is this: if you are saying these things and on air, you are creating an atmosphere in order to encourage brigandage and I know for one thing, it is the people like you. If the police has reacted in a way that they have attacked them, it is the people like you now that will be shouting that the government is killing other people. And now you are saying something now and you are encouraging brigandage attitude. The man is saying that somebody have no eye, somebody else is deteriorating. How does he know?
Then how do you know? See, you should be thinking of the people's life, people's feeling before you begin to think of order.
I think about people's life, I think about people's order.
No,
but I need facts to prove what I want to think. I am a lawyer. I don't work on isolation. I don't work on hearsay. In fact, in law, for as long as it is, hearsay is no go area. So you don't want me to take him for his words now.
Okay,
and begin to argue on the basis of what you have said. No. You are being sentimental by arguing about what you have said because you did not see the man. The man did not claim that I saw him yesterday.
The last time the man was on air, or was this? He was carrying POP in his leg. Did you see that? Did you watch it?
He was carrying
POP in his leg.
Does Elizabeth don't carry POP in his leg?
I'm asking you a question. When did that start carrying POP? When did he start carrying POP?
Who carry POP?
Does
Elizabeth don't carry POP?
When did he start carrying POP?
Can somebody carry POP? Does that make him sick?
Let's be very civil on the program.
Are you healthy? Are you not healthy? Why did you carry POP?
This morning, gentlemen, the question we need to be looking at in all of this, talking about the detention of Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, can there be any meeting point in all of this? If we are saying,
you see, we don't,
the group is demanding this release.
We don't overlook the genesis of a matter, and you are beginning to treat it from the head. No, there's a genesis to this matter. I don't think, and I repeat, I don't think that people in Kaduna, where El-Zakzaky and his men reigned supreme, when it lasted, will come up on her and they will not tell you they are heaving a sigh of relief. These are people for over time. I have been on ground for so long a time. I have visited those areas at one point in time. We saw what this group had done. At the height of it was what they did to the chief of army staff that led to the arrest of Tama.
Okay, now, will his release serve as a threat to national security?
Of course, if it does not before, and if their action does not, they will not get him arrested. If their action does not before, they will not get him arrested.
And then the judiciary also have the same equal rights with the government, doesn't see this thing that they are seeing either.
The funny thing about the judiciary is this: except now that he has been charged and his wife will be charged with murder in accordance with the other charges they give to them. Don't look at the judiciary in isolation. The judiciary act on. That's why I said hearsay does not work in law. The judiciary will look at the charges and it will look at the law. If you charge somebody on a case that is bailable, forget the story.
Well, gentlemen,
regardless of their position, they will
the judiciary look at all these facts before they say he's bailable and the government appealed it. So you won't tell me the judiciary doesn't have the fact that facts were not presented.
Well, gentlemen, we have to.
The judiciary that has power, and I am telling you, the judiciary, yes, gave him bail, acted on the basis of the charges they give to him, which
we have to go on this breather. When we come back, the show has just started. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion.
Can we, very interesting, gentlemen. Just hold on.
I am about principle and I'm about fortune.
Now, you see, let me
say
this. So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues. Welcome back on the program. Well, still on the Shiite police clash before we move on to the 2019 elections. Quickly, let me get the final take of my guest on this particular one before we move to other matters. At this time, I still have with me in the studio Rex Kennedy. He is Sotlov. He is a public affairs analyst and the President, Executive Director of Citizens' Rights and Empowerment Advocacy Initiative. Many thanks for staying tuned on the program. A legal practitioner, Samuel Adiola, many thanks for staying tuned. What do you think should be the solution in all of this to forestall further clash?
I think dialogue should be the solution. And I think another way of looking at this is that if possible, the government should allow Ezaki to speak to his people, to his followers. I think that may doubt.
He spoke sometimes.
Yeah, that sometimes lasted till when they started.
That was when the rumor of whether he's dead or alive came up that time, and he came out to tell Nigerians that he's alive.
And now that they have said his one eye is blind and the neck, something has happened to body, let him speak again. Allow him to speak to them without the tension, and he can also tell them, I am okay, they should cool down, justice will be done, because the matter on ground is before the law court. So to me, that is the only thing. There is no anybody around these people will listen to, either second in commando or third in commando, and I don't know if that man has any. There's no other person within now. The man is the only one. I think it was that agitation at that point in time that made him to speak to them, and ever since he spoke with them, the whole things until around April that they started this thing. They know I witnessed it that April period around the Wuse 2 market, and going to a Millennium, what have you, and I saw the way they are surging forward, but police was magnanimous in handling them. I almost ran into them. I saw it. I came out from Wuse market and I saw it. I just believe that the government will not allow ego. They will allow the man to speak again to the people and let them realize that let them cool down, because the police cannot allow wanton destructions of properties and even wounding them to continue. They are trained to curb such incident, and if worse comes to worse, it will be referred to as act of self-defense, because you can see the way they destroyed even the vehicle over time, and if they did not stop them by allowing the man to speak to them, if they continue like this, I don't think Nigerian police has that psychological training of patience to continue to absorb something like this.
Okay, now your solution to all of this, and how will you describe the act of the police force yesterday in ensuring that they didn't overreact?
Well, I believe it was very commendable, because the people were already in a mob attack form, and if they are already in a mob attack form, anything that will aggravate that sentiment that they are carrying will definitely go up, and then they were already acting, and I'm very happy that the police acted in a proper way that is commendable with regard to their attack. And like he said, I believe dialogue should be there. If there's a second in command, there is a third in command, or there's a group that can address them, or government has a means of relating and liaising with people who they believe the people can listen to, for this thing to be curtailed, we'll be very happy about it. Because we don't, my fear that I always speak about, we don't want another issue of Boko Haram emanating from this type of thing again, because that is the propensity that's where it's going to aggravate to. It starts with the leader first, then the followers became something else, and then there's nothing the government can do about it.
Okay, so you're also advocating for dialogue?
Strongly, and then the man should be given freedom. If he needs to be teleguided wherever he goes to, the government has the means, for goodness me. The government give you freedom, even they put you in house arrest, let them follow you, let them monitor you. They have the people, they can put force men around them. You can put people like followers, even as members, and then monitor this man, follow this man, and bring.
Many will argue that Nnamdi Kanu was also given freedom, and he absconded
without the conditions. They're not sure whether he has absconded or he's alive yet, so we can't say that one. or whether when they did Operation Python, like he said, he want to work on fire. He can't tell us whether he was killed or is alive. So we can't say that one.
I work on fire like I told you. Operation Python dance left the place today. Nnamdi Kanu called a press, which we saw on live television, to come and inspect what Operation Python, destroy and so on and so forth. So the man that Operation Python left the place today, and the man show up tomorrow to go and show the press, or they cannot be considered to have been killed by Operation Python. So that is a fact.
So you still show that he's still alive.
So he's alive.
Okay. Well, and away from this giant police clash, now let's talk about the 2019 elections, political parties' internal wranglings. At this time, let's start with the APC. We saw the local government and the ward congresses. How would you describe these activities in the... Well, we saw that one of last week, Saturday, and we're having agitations in different quarters, especially in Imo, where the governor is saying there is no Congress. And some...
Outmasted.
Well,
it was outmasted.
And some are saying
by people
Congress
that felt that, look,
was held in Imo.
The property of Okorocha.
Okay, so
let's take it from
take it over from there.
Yes. Or if you take it if let's have Imo state by state. Imo state proved to Okorocha that Imo is not a property of Okorocha. You cannot leave the place and come. I don't think that has happened before in Imo land, in Igbo land. I don't know, but I can't remember that somebody will leave the place and go and bring your son-in-law to come and be their head. I don't think Igbo people are that, they are not daft. So that is what the lesson they taught him. We are not daft here. Don't worry. We are not going to fight you not to bring your this thing. So the Congress, they come. So as Congress come, you might imagine that the whole governor was outsmarted to the point that the people that want to conduct Congress even lock him out. I saw it on the television as to what happens to him. He now commanding the police to go and find those people that ran away with the election result. You see, to me, it is an act of impunity for you to think that you have now become God of the people just because you are given opportunity to serve. And that is exactly what is happening in almost all the areas where you find Bikari. Same thing go to your state. Ajimobi want to control. And there are other people that believe, look, you cannot pocket the people which are supposed to have free will. If you are not ready for direct and free and fair Congress, then we too will outsmart you. So they outsmarted him as well over there. The other group had to send their list to the national order view. That is what we will find even in Adamawa State. The same thing happened. Where again do they have a parallel order view? Those are the big cannon that you are seeing. But I believe one thing, that it is still something you know about the politician. They never ever have permanent enemy. It's only permanent interest that they have. And they will settle themselves. I am very sure of that.
Okay.
The area where they cannot settle themselves, the one with over ambition, like Okorocha that want to use. If you want to test his popularity, political party is not the place to test your popularity. It is you yourself. To test your popularity, bring your son-in-law into another. There are so many parties in Imo State now. Bring your son to another party and test that, okay, I have worked for these people. We have been saying it on this air that there was a man in Mushin called Kakuare. When they denied him ticket in APC, he said, is it not me? Is it not my Mushin? Don't worry, I will go to even ordinary newspaper party and I will beat the Asiwaju of the politics in Lagos. And he went to a court party and he beat, not only beat, he flagged them in that place. So that's the one I call popularity. So not that you will be galvanizing around because you have the state power along you. If you are popular, nobody is denying you. If you know that the party you are, you can no longer contain you and you know you are popular, carry yourself, go another place and go and contest yourself. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Sotlov, what do you make of all of this?
You see, Imo is a case in view, and there are other cases like Oyo State. And then if you look at across the nation, I don't think there was virtually no state in which there was no problem concerning APC, and that goes you to tell that there are more ingrained challenges or problems within the party that has not been properly sorted out. You begin to look at people who came over just a year before they came into power, and every person was just riding off. And it's like every block begin to find. CPC will begin to find their block. ACN will begin to find their block. AN people will begin to find their block. And then you see all this bickering coming into because they have not gelled together as a political party strongly. Their goal at that particular time was to remove the government. Now that one has been removed now. It is now they're supposed to consolidate themselves in power, and they begin to find that these clashes will begin to come up, and then to become a problem. And it's for them to sort that for themselves. And that is giving the PDP and the NPDP now room to begin to try and, when you talk, I said it was the NPDP that was in power when we were speaking offline, behind camera. So it's the NPDP that were in power. Dogara, Saraki, all of them are the people that came out from NPDP, and they seem to be the real power brokers within these particular parties, and they came out from PDP. So if there's a breach within APC right now, every person will begin to try, like, it's like when you put a potato on top of a cat, you are putting the lesser one will go down, the upper one will begin to come up. Those people who have more influence and have more stake and offer more things, be the people that will come out in the rest. All those ones that are doing under, it's like, then they will sort themselves out. That's what I will have to say.
Do you have any political party that is not having any internal wranglings?
No, I don't think
there's scarcely no party that doesn't have any internal
wranglings. Because there's no ideology. It's not ideology that brought them together.
Yes.
It's about the cake
they want to go for. Yeah. So, like I told you, like we said offline, behind camera, the reason why these wranglings are coming inside is because of personal interest. It's not people interest. Every person is fighting for himself. They are not fighting for the people. If they were having ideologies that are going to be for the welfare and development of the people, they are able to sell it to the people and be able to relate to the people, it will be good. There was a time one party invited me, asked me to work for them. Right now I have about 2 parties that are approaching me, asked me to work for them and work with them with regard to something. I told them, I said, where have you been for almost about 3 years? Where have you been for almost about 4 years? Is it that minute you want people to be mobilized and put together? I can mobilize 100,000 of people of you. I can do some things for you in this particular place. But what will be the thing that they will hold on to after the meeting? When you've gathered them together, is it for people to just see there's a crowd? And people see that, oh, this is a crowd. Let us just say we have crowd. So that you use that now to begin to become your bargaining point. I don't like to work like that. You must be able to have something you have to offer to the people. And so that when you live there, if the people go home and they are going for voting, they don't say these people are not deceiving us. It's not a day to election, 2 days to election, you are gathering rallies and coming to talk to people. You don't talk about people, say they have the conscience to go and reason when they get back home. So there are no ideologies, and all these things will keep on happening in most of the classes.
Do we still have that enlightened electorate at this time?
So they are. Nigerians are good though. The average Nigerian are good. People can take your money and go and vote their conscience. If they are informed and you have time to discuss with them. People can take your money. You are not going to be there when I'm going to cast my votes. I'm not going to sell my birthright. I can take your money and I'll go and vote for the person that's in my conscience. You're not going to monitor me. If the place is clear as it ought to clear and it's going to be private as it's going to be private, I can take the money I want for you. I was very young when I joined politics, so I was invited when UPN and NPN were there.
Are you speaking for yourself or for
generality of the average Nigerians?
Average Nigerian.
I'm a Nigerian, I consider myself an average Nigerian. I go with the people, so I know their opinion. We deal with people, we relate with people.
Okay, let's go back to the internal wranglings in these parties now. Well, the NPDP in APC now, there seems to be another crack in them. Samuel, what do you make of this?
By virtue of what, like I said, I don't work on hearsay. By virtue of what I know that I can lay my hands on, I don't think the real NPDP are really the one bickering. The one that are bickering are the ones that believe that they have entitlement mentality, and that means that entitlement mentality does not bring anything to the table.
How do you come about that?
Yesterday, I watched Jubril Abdulmimini on Politics Today, and when he was discussing, that was when my own understanding comes to be, to the fact that when the Bakari whatever
the Baraje
group was doing their own what do you call the press conference, I discovered that the whole of the press conference, the only known face among the NPDP is Baraje himself. among that press conference. You look around, you could not find any other person. And we're like, okay, is it Baraje the only NPDP that is talking, or the NPDP that the other NPDP that is talking, they just pushing forward, they are going to talk for us? Because when you look at the NPDP, you said something the other time that by virtue of what you can see, it is the NPP that is even NPDP that even has that power.
Power broker between them.
You understand? Yeah. But if you look at the presidents of the Senate, it's the NPDP. Yeah. If you look at the president of, speakers of the House of Assembly, House of Rep, it's the NPDP. And every other places, ministers and all the rest. So when you look at the letter they even wrote, that is where it becomes mimicking to wonder that, okay, where is this person? When you're talking about marginalization in appointment, and I was like, okay, do you really want the whole place to be given into your hand before you know? That's where I come about. Those people that I see, they are the people with entitlement mentality, and they cannot get what they have desired, or they have been shortchanged. And I wonder why Baraje has to be making noise, because Baraje is more or less like a political ally and friend, if not son, of Olusola Saraki, who happened to be the father of the NPDP, who is the president of the Senate. So if he's talking about being sidelined, I wonder where that sideline or where marginalization or positioning not given to them is coming out from. When you have the Senate president as your head, as the head of NPDP, and you are still talking about marginalization. I don't know.
Who says the Senate president is article that?
Well, we can't start insinuating that.
We are not insinuating. I only ask. You know, all my pontifications are all hypotheses. That what is the essence of you, who happens to be a right-hand ally of the NPDP president of the Senate, and you are now talking about marginalization again? Because part of the letter, what I read in their letter was that they are being marginalized. They are not into the position of things within the polity and the government of the day. That they have not in sharing of a board of director, MDA, that they are not. I was like, okay, who are they again that you are not talking about? But the fact remains that in that press conference is only Zakari Baraje that you can see.
Now, if we look at this particular list, talking about the ex-NPDP chieftains, we have Bukola Saraki, the Senate President, Yakubu Dogara, House of Rep Speaker, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, Chairman Senate Committee on Agriculture, Senator Adamu Ailero, Chairman Senate Committee on Customs. We have Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, Chairman Senate Committee on National Planning, Senator Danjuma Goje, Chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation. And
that's what I'm saying. I said that is where I find out that perhaps Baraje is looking at himself that, look, my entitlement mentality was not given to me. It's like I am sidelined. And I wonder why he would consider himself sidelined when Senate President is your ally. Senate President, who happen to be the NPDP crossover with you, is your party. You are from the same state. In fact, you have been working along with him even before he becomes somebody. So I wonder where that is. Because when Baraje was named the PDP chairman at that point in time, albeit temporarily, it was through Bukola Saraki. You understand? So it's like Bolaji Abdullahi, who happened to be the publicity secretary of. He's a one-time ally of the Senate president, and he's also an NPDP. So it beats me hello to see that somebody will now write of marginalization. I did not even go. I'm not even talking about the Senate committee here now. I'm even talking about the appointment into the boss and, like he said, ministers and all the rest. So where is the marginalization coming from?
Okay, now gentlemen, you continue with your line of thought. Now let's open the phone lines to get the pulse of Nigerians on what we're looking at on the program this morning. We started with the Shite police backlash yesterday. We raised many issues and provide solutions to some of those. And also this morning, we're still talking about the 2019 elections, as we have in political parties, internal wranglings at this time. Do not attack any personality. You don't have that right to cast aspersion on anyone. That's our editorial policy on Call Digest this morning. And also reduce the audio of your TV set so that we can have that smooth communication on the program. Thank you very much for staying tuned with our editorial policy. Gentlemen, yesterday we saw the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed a suit against the aborted attempt by all Progressives Congress to extend the tenure of its National Chairman John Odigi Oyegu and other elected officials of the party. Before we start receiving calls, let's take a listen to this particular clips, then we'll talk more about issues in the country. Hello, we will bring you details of that particular one, but still back on.
Hypothetical questions or academic questions are not answered by the court, but the obiter dicta in the judgment, they are to guide for future conduct, which is okay because before now, we have never had a direct pronouncement by any court of law in Nigeria as he has done today, which is okay for all the players in the political field to guide, and then in future, anybody that wants to extend tenure will be referred to what he has said in the judgment.
There is no need deciding the substantial issue on the merits. But as for whether or not there was an attempt to elongate the tenure of APC executive members from the national to the world executive, the court said yes. From evidence before me, I am satisfied that there was an attempt to illegally extend the tenure of the National Executive Committee, state, world, and local governments, and that it might be as a result of this pending suit before me or other supervening circumstances that may have prompted the APC to now decided to abide by the rule of law.
Legal practitioners, they are reacting concerning Oyegun's suits being dismissed. Gentlemen, talking about this issue of tenure elongation, back and forth arguments.
Ordinarily, their suit should have been a mere academic exercise. In law, that's what we call it. Once an event has overtaken the purpose of the suit, should have been a mere academic exercise. Why? Because the issue in discourse is already being resolved, and already been resolved, and it has gone to the normal process that it ought to go to. So to me, I believe it is a mere academic exercise.
Okay. What about you, Sotlov?
Well, I don't have anything to say much about that either, but what I just say is that I'm just looking at I'm from Edo State.
So you're having this party affiliation or what?
No, I don't have party affiliation. I'm not a member of APC or PDP or whatever. But my concern is there's already a crack already because Oshomole is also coming. If Oshomole is contesting for the position of Oyegu,
just a moment. Let's quickly join Usman from Kano. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Hello, Usman, are you there?
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
You're welcome. I want to quickly put into consideration concerning the issue your team spoke about a while ago, about the post being handled by the new PDP members. I think you didn't get the complaint of Baragi, right? What he said is that even the Bukola Saraki and the Speaker of the House of Assembly that are in that position were being put there by the original PDP member and few of them. And that even the APC as of up to today did not support them and troubling them even at the position they are holding. So in that regard, I don't think the Baragi letter was wrong. He was saying what is happening. Up to today, Bukola is being challenged in the court on so many allegations. What is it? Dora have to play to their rule before they really co-accommodate him. See, now Kokosu is to be allowed to enter Kano. What are we talking about? We should just be telling Nigeria has seen the fact, and we should not be hiding things for people to see. And then I go back to the issue of Azedeki. This my job man, you should not be supporting the government at all the time if they are wrong. We should make them to know that they are wrong. What Azedeki was doing, I am here in Kano, they have members here. They were not hurting anybody. This is how Yusuf Ali issue started. They were protecting on what they know that is right, what they know, what they believe on, and they were being attacked. It's the life of the people of army staff. The higher or more than over 300 people that were murdered on that very day, people that bear no arm. What are we talking about? Please, we should be sincere whenever we are on air.
Thank you very much. Usman from Kano, thank you very much. You've made your point there. You quickly want to react to that.
I don't have anything to react. He lives in Kano, he doesn't live in Kaduna. So they might have a member in Kano. If the member they have in Kano is less than the population of other Muslims, then they may not be a threat to them. But go to Kaduna and see where Zakizaki have been living. It's not even something I need to talk about. You are a journalist, you must you must be able to relate with the news of that
what
time.
What he was attacking me about is the same sentiment. If you call it sentiment that people are viewing, you have.
That is not my view. It is something that I've read, that I've seen. I have seen happen in Kaduna very well. It is not a view now. It is the fact on ground. That is not view.
My angle on
that's not opinion. What I'm saying now is not opinion.
My angle on this issue was that
just a moment.
This was how Yusuf Mala came up.
We'll continue with that line of thought. Let's quickly join
It's
Prince.
not opinion.
Prince is calling us from Jos. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Prince.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Go on with a comment, please.
Good morning to the guests.
Thank you.
Concerning the issue that Baraje raised about being sidelined by the government in the center, I think what he meant is that the position that Saraki and the rest they fought for that. What he's saying that is that their inputs are not being considered in the affairs of the APC. The APC are just they are just there to sideline them. So what they are saying, they want to be in the mainstream of things in the APC. The other gentleman, he's always holding brief for the government. When the government is wrong, he should be man enough to say the government is wrong. I mean, the one with the lawyer himself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prince. Well, let me let you know, he has his own opinion. He's right to his own expression, and that's what the law says. That's his own stand. Let's take it like that. Well, gentlemen, you were trying to make some analysis earlier.
Yeah, I was like saying, you see, fairness is fairness everywhere. If two people are here and you say divide something equally and they divide it equally and give to them, when they see it themselves, they don't need to complain. They won't complain. The issue on the ground is that something was not handled fairly and people are reacting to what they don't. Like what I was saying, the Yusuf case was like this. You don't side when a government begins to oppress people and then you tell them they are defenseless. The best way they can sacrifice their life. If like carry bullets, I'd rather die standing fighting for my right than die a coward. After all, I'm a Christian. I have faith in Christ, died and goes to heaven, so I'm going to go to heaven, period, and those particular things, so I don't fear anything. So I will defend for my faith. But like he said from that angle, 300 defenseless people were killed because somebody was coming. You have not addressed it. You are talking in when government set up committee, they'll say, look at the remote and immediate causes for this action for us to find solution to a particular problem. When these people sit down, know that their colleague they eat with every day, they pray with, or they have time to do with every day, they come inside. Okay. And then they begin to...
Just a moment. Let's quickly join. Peter is calling us from Bauchi. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Emmanuel, and good morning to your guest.
Good morning, Peter. Go on with the comment, please.
Thank you very much. I'm going to talk about the ramblings and parties and all that. I've always been saying that a lot of things are going to unfold. And, one of your guests talked about that, and when he was talking about Imo State, that Korocha never really expected what came for him. It's just funny that at times politics has become a situation whereby people take it as if it's their home affairs and their personal affairs, not their affairs of service to humanity and people that put you in that place. And it's not only even in Imo State. Look at what happened in Anambra State and so many of the APCs. It's really, really, really showing a whole lot of things that I keep saying it that before 2019, a lot of things are going to come out that are going to baffle a lot of people, and it's already happening. So we should just keep our fingers crossed. A lot of things are coming on the way. Our fingers are crossed, and it's so unfortunate anyway. I wish them the best of their party affairs and all that. But all the same, when some things go wrong, they tend to turn around. Maybe I see it that way, turning around and all that. And the politics of 2019, we pray and hope that definitely, with God being on our side, 2019 is going to be a successful election year, peacefully, and God is going to take control over it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter from Bauchi. Now, back to the internal rankings in political parties. With this NPDP, are we likely going to see a major shake-up in the APC?
If there are members of NPDP that has come out to say that, like you just rightly read out now, they are members of NPDP and they are the cogent and strong members of NPDP, and they are holding such position and they are not complaining about such marginalization. I still repeat it, whatever it may be, Paraje is the one that knows the reason why he is doing that which he is doing. You cannot tell me that because somebody is somebody as a Senate president is no longer in the thing or what is going on, so you still want them to bring you into the mainstream or what again is the mainstream if you have a Senate president and you have a House of Rep speaker and you are still you are not being brought into the mainstream. What mainstream again?
He made a statement and said that those people, I think those like the first speaker Osman said it. He said those people in those places were placed by PDP, not APC, because APC were against their position. So it's like they themselves
the question is were they there? Are they still there? Are they still the Senate president and speaker of the house today? So whose interest are they still representing? That is the question now. Are they still cutting the short stuff till today? Are they not still the one determining our budget 6 months thereafter they have not passed it?
Just a moment. Bob is calling us from Jos. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Hello, Bob. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. How are you?
Well, we are fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, concerning the issue of this Zazaki, I'll choose caution on this issue because the election in 2019 is fast approaching. The opposition, the members of this leader of High Zazaki or how they call the name, they may hijack them and use them against the government. So what am I trying to say? In Abacha time, that the worst government we have ever seen. You understand me? I think when he said Abiola, that Southwest was even shaking that time. In Nassau Rock, in one of the guest house. I think the best thing this man can do, if Buhari believes that I think Buhari knows him better than any other person because he's a Muslim, is that he should probably give this man accommodation in any of the guest house in Nassau Rock. So it will guide the tension of all these young boys up north. You understand?
Okay.
People find them. Even in this job, they do their protest. Every state in the north. So this the young man of this lawyer, please, if you are in the north, you understand me. That of Abuja is even small. You understand me? So please, government should be very, very careful with them because the election is fast approaching.
Okay.
The position is.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bob, from Jos. Well, Bob is coming from the angle that, well, these people might be used by the opposition party.
I believe the government is not stupid.
Okay.
They have their intelligent, what have you. Unfortunately, I want to go back or digress. I told you the other time that since 26 that they have arrested the man that was supposedly the former leaders of Boko Haram. Have you heard about any killings in Benue ever since then? No.
Who is the former killer of Boko Haram? You know, this
former leader of Boko Haram that was later become the militia man of Autumn. Since he was arrested on 26th of April up to today, have you heard of any killing again in Benue?
We have not.
So I am clearly saying, Oga, What I'm trying to say is this: you have been on this seat is also it was hot more than 1 or 2 times talking about killing in Imo State, in the Benue State, and I keep on saying that the killing in Benue State will go the way of Nnamdi Kanu's of this world and the bombing in the world of the Niger Delta. Today,
Emmanuel, we have someone from Benue now. Emmanuel is calling us from Benue.
He will tell us whether there is a
Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Yes, good morning, Vic, and good morning to your guests over there.
Good morning, Emmanuel. How is Benue today?
Well, by the grace of God, we are expressing a relative calm within the Makurdi Metro Police and in the sub-urban region. The killings, since the 2 priests were murdered in the church, since then we have not heard this instant killing for now. We pray that the peace continue in that manner.
Okay. So what's your take on what we're looking at this morning?
Thank you very much. My take on the police clash and this issue. I support the submission of the lawyer there in the studio. You know, in this Nigeria, we have various levels of court, and they have their jurisdiction. The earlier court has given this ruling that it should be released. The government said no, we appeal the ruling. The case is still in court, in the higher court. Let us await what the higher court have to say. Rather than going to destroy government property, attacking people who have arms, before you know that they say police started killing innocent people, and they are the one provoking the police. You know. So my take on this is that let the followers of this man exercise patience, and whosoever they may talk to them so that they exercise patience and await the outcome. Maybe the government is applying the doctrine of necessity so that this man will not come out and cause more harm than.
Okay, Emmanuel.
That is my take on it.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. You've made your point. Okay, Emmanuel from Benue.
And the last attack is on April 24.
Okay,
and the man was arrested on April 26. Until date, has never been killed.
So, back to the politics of 2019. Well, looking at political parties, the PDP too. Well, we are here to hear anything so concrete from.
It's quite funny.
The
you know,
PDP.
my own. The funny side of it is that we're about 9 months away, or I think up to 9 months to election, and we don't have presidential candidates apart from only one person that showed interest. We don't have evolving presidential candidates.
Let me take you back to the memory lane of 2014. Well, in 2014, we started hearing the say baba here and there. The president, Muhammadu Buhari, at that time, it was so glaring that, well, this person is a potential presidential candidate.
Yes, he threw himself in. No, everybody thought, because as at 2011, after the last.
Okay, James is calling us from Benue. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Hello, James. James, are you there?
Hello.
Okay.
Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Why is Abdallah always antagonizing his people? I don't know why he's always making noise. That's the way he's making noise in the local.
No one is making noise here, James. Point of order.
People turning to your television station to another thing altogether. It's very bad.
What's your own? Hello, James. Hello, James. What's your own take on what we're looking at? I keep saying on this program, you don't. Hello, can you listen to me, James?
I think they are still killing people in Kogi State. They are still killing people. They are everywhere. I think terrorizing.
Okay, thank you very much, James. But I keep saying, when you pick up guests on this program and you talk about them, you are even making them more popular. So leave the guests alone and give your own comments on issues raised on the program. Well, he's talking about killings in Kogi. Well, still killing there. But back to the issue of 2019 election.
There are no killing in Lagos State last week. Did you people talk about it?
Back to the 2019.
The police and the Lagos State governor's task force team went to Makoko and killed and maimed. Did you people talk about it?
Back to the issue of the 2019 election.
The 2019 election is going to be very funny. You know, in politics, 24 hours is very long. 24 hours is very long. And the people who are forming an alliance, the Nigeria National Intervention Movement, name started by OBJ and is backing of ADC, African Democratic Congress.
But if you remember that the president, the former president there, OBJ, did say that if he's going to transform to a political party, he's going to back out.
He's backing the African Democratic Congress.
Okay.
He's backing. He's not transforming. The National Intervention Movement, which he started, is there. Then there's PDP. And then, based on what I was reading the other time,
but I expect him to be out because he's saying this is going to form generate into a political party. He shouldn't be a part of it.
A coalition of New Nigeria, a coalition of about 35 political parties. These people have grassroots and they are spread in various areas. You can't predict what they are coming. But every person is going to run their place and maybe feed one candidate in the long run. We don't know how they are going to play their game. But with what we have on the ground, see, depending on how you play this game, politics in 2019 is going to be very, very interesting. And for me, personally, my personal opinion, I won't support a government that doesn't take the sacrosanct of life above development. Every government that has been economically strong, that's economically strong today, value the sanctity of life above economic development and whatever thing you are fighting. We are fighting corruption, and then you don't value the sacredness and the sanctity of life. I mean to say the sanctity of life concerning human being. It gives any normal human being a reason to think twice concerning entrusting you. It could be my cousin, it could be my sister, it could be my brother, it could be you I've discussed with right now. The moment I see this one, I will be antagonizing each other from different political perspective, but there's already a bond of connection. It became a friend tomorrow. I won't see him like an enemy in me. And then if you don't consider his life, I don't consider his life, and you tell me that you are going to give me economic development, I may be the next victim.
Do you see this administration being comfortable with the killings going on in the country?
Sir?
Will any reasonable administration be comfortable with that?
Let's come to this one.
You just have less than 1 minute.
How many people did IPOB kill before it was portrayed as a terrorist group? It's a simple question. How many people did IPOB kill before they were proscribed and declared a terrorist group, compared to the Fulani herdsmen or armed bandits that's going on in the country that a lot of people have been coming out and speaking against, and this government has been
we've had arguments using the word Fulani attached to this herdsmen in all of this, that the so-called Fulani people are some people who are very friendly. Why not use the word herdsmen and using the word Fulani herdsmen? Because but that's not the subject. That's not the subject for today.
People who get across, and you know, when major people, the Igbo people are known as motor parts, spare parts dealers. That is their major trade. If you go to any place, they are the major people you find that are involved into this motor parts, whatever spare part. So when you begin to see any person in that part, you begin to associate him with.
Okay, with all the internal rankings in political parties, if President Muhammadu Buhari eventually becomes the candidate for the APC, do we have any formidable party that can match the candidate of President Muhammadu Buhari? Just 1 minute. Sotlov.
Do we have any formidability? See, the formidability of any person is not a product of his personality per se. It's a product of the people behind him. That's what I would say on my own.
Okay. Samuel.
35 political parties coming together to form an alliance. Those things don't move me a bit. How many of them has people in the House of Assembly, has National Assembly, ordinary councillor in every state?
At the moment, we have about 69 political parties in the country registered.
They now said 35 want to come together, and that one will be threatening me. Or who? How many of those 35, apart from APC, PDP, ABGA, how many of them? Ordinary councillorship they don't have in other states. So what are we talking about? Even in their own house, their wife does not even support them. For crying out loud, I don't get myself fret on that. Coming to talk about where is the formidable man that would stand against Buhari, I think for now I don't see. In fact, the political party that have not been able to come out with their men today is because they are still searching for that man. that will meet his pedigree.
Okay, that means the
personal.
searching continues.
Yes, it continues.
Do you share in that plight?
Yes, I do believe that searching. It's not that searching.
It's a good ultimate search.
People are going to present themselves. They are going to take one of the best people. They are going to polish these people up and market them. Say Baba started just a year before he was.
Even the young ones who are also joining the political race now. Yes. You're not seeing them.
Even see, let's say for instance,
I saw them. My friend and client is also there. There.
Gentlemen, we have to call the shots this morning.
And win. He cannot even win on those states.
Don't say that.
I must say.
If you stand with that guy will surprise people. It's my friend.
Are you talking about the God delivering codeine?
That would be too much on Nigerian youth. That would be too much on Nigerian youth.
God delivering codeine.
Well, that's how much we can take on the program this morning. Samuel Adiola, legal practitioner, man, thanks for coming on the program this morning. Rex Kennedy Sotlo.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Public Affairs Analyst, President, Executive Director of Citizens' Rights and Empowerment Advocacy Initiative. Quite a long title there. Man, thanks for joining us on the program. And that's how much we can take on Core Digest this morning. Well, concerning the 2019 election, Samuel Adiola raised the fact that the searching continues for that formidable candidate for political parties in Nigeria. Till I come your way again, I remain Emmanuel Ajayi. I say go out there and do something great for this great country, Nigeria. Bye for now.
It is another package of northern reports. Defection hits the APC in Kaduna State, where political parties unite for smooth elections at the local council level, while peace remains a factor desired by the people of Kaduna, Benue, and Plateau State. All of these in this edition of your favorite weekly program, Northern Reports. I am Usaitin Yosadibame, your anchor and guide on the next 30 minutes. Welcome back. The crack in the All Progressive Congress in Kaduna State has widened as a federal lawmaker dumps the party for the People's Democratic Party, pulling his structures of over 5,000 members out of the APC family. This is indeed some depletion of the APC population in Kaduna State.
That Nigerians want a positive change, and only PDP is there to provide them positive change. So we are hopeful, we are prayerful, we are going to work for it.
Kaduna State, which has in recent time assumed the status of a hotbed politically, is also rooting for peaceful conduct of the council's polls. While the ruling party is enmeshed in an internal crisis between its various factions, the state electoral body has called all the parties and all the leaders of thought to a peace pact.
Kaduna State in the past has suffered series of ethno-religious, political and post-election crises, and the state is currently divided across religious lines, with Muslims in the north and Christians in the southern part of the state. Ahead of this Saturday's council elections, political parties, religious leaders, security agencies, as well as the media sign a peace pact to ensure a violence-free and acceptable local government polls. Though the ruling APC and the main opposition party, the PDP, were not present at the event. Speakers at the summit unanimously agreed that election fraud, hate speech, and campaign of calumny are main factors to election violence.
Dangerous and inciting speech against perceived political opponents in a political rally to address a crowd that is largely populated by illiterate, unsophisticated, unruly, irate, restive, and drug-addicted youth can instantly and spontaneously incite and instigate violence.
When you hear somebody saying that don't vote for social because it's social religion, or don't vote for social because they are controlled by Muslims, or don't vote for social because the world is controlled by Christians, you are trying to cause anarchy, you are trying to cause confusion, because there is no permanent friend or permanent enemy in politics.
On their part, representatives of the two major religion and security agencies also add their voice, adding that bloodshed in Kaduna is enough, while calling on all to embrace peace during the forthcoming local government elections.
We are tired of burying our members. Allow peace to reign.
All our business within Kaduna State Command, everybody is involved in making sure that there is protection of one life and property, protection of electoral materials, and adequate security cover.
Organizers of the event appeal to citizens to use the polls to change the story of Kaduna State in terms of conducting elections.
This peace summit is aimed at preventing reducing the impact of violence during the forthcoming local government council's election in Kaduna State.
We do not need to continue election after election to tell a violent story for Kaduna. As a people, we are tired of the violence.
Over 30 political parties, religious leaders, peace ambassadors from across the state attended the peace summit, and they say free, fair and peaceful local government elections in Kaduna will set the pace for Nigeria ahead of next year's general elections.
Amidst the pain of unprovoked and continued attacks on the people of Irigwe in Basa Local Government Council of Plateau State, the people were saying thanksgiving to God for his provisions to the living, and the victims of the attacks will continue to be on their lips.
A special Thanksgiving service organized in their honor held at LEA Primary School, Basa Local Government. Sons and daughters of Irigwe came together to appreciate God for his faithfulness to the people despite the trying moments. President Irigwe Development Association says the occasion is to appreciate God for his protection and also pray for the repose of those who lost their lives during the unfortunate attack in Basa Local Government.
He is our defense. He is our protection. If not for him, we would have been a history today, because the enemy has planned to eliminate us. But today we are still standing gidigba, because Jehovah Yahweh is our God.
Other indigents of Irigwe say they will continue to promote peace despite the security challenges they face. They say this is the second occasion that they will gather to remember loved ones killed by rampaging herdsmen. They call on relevant authorities to ensure that further attacks are prevented.
To appreciate God for having seen us through despite all the challenges. It's like our enemies are bent on wiping the entire community. But as we are, this is just like the Israelites.
The basic aim is to thank God for the calm that has returned to the village or to our chiefdom, even though what we have been yearning for is peace. But we want to thank God. So far, it will have been worse than this, that so far God has kept us this far. And so we are here to appreciate God as a people and as a nation.
A minute's silence was observed for the deceased, while songs were rendered by the mass choir as well as women groups.
After a week-long protest against herdsmen attack and advocacy to critical stakeholders in Benue State to stem the tide of unprovoked aggression, the coalition of over 50 civil society organizations in Benue State held a Thanksgiving service to God, thanking him in advance for the peace they believe he will enthrone in Benue State.
Activities lined up for the week-long protest commenced on Monday, which coincided with Workers' Day celebration. The peaceful protest was followed by advocacy visit to the Commissioner of Police, the State Assembly and the Sarkin Hausawan. The coalition also registered their presence at the one-year celebration of the paramount ruler of the Tiv Nation, Ochibiri Professor James Ayate to Tiv.
We traveled down to Boko and to interact with the Tiv. We're privileged to interface with a lot of Tiv sons that were at the one-year celebration and launching of the Ayatu Tukase Foundation, a civil move that was meant, or it's meant to help the Tiv land. We're able to register our presence, we're able to let the Tiv know that we're behind him, and much more than that, secure an appointment for a town hall meeting with the Tiv and the rest of the chiefs.
Also, we were able to pass across our message, calling on key stakeholders in the state, political appointees, individuals, and every other person who has a role to play in ending the massacre to take actions, concerted and decisive actions to end the herdsmen killing.
The church service was held at the St. Augustine Catholic Church, Demekwe. At the end of the activities, the civil society organization said the success so far recorded will help in further engaging with relevant stakeholders to raise the bar on progress.
Day one of this activity, it has been the hand of God in it. And it proves to me that God is actually in this thing that we're doing. We did not just take it by ourselves, but it's actually an instruction of God.
We should try and get our birth certificate for children that are under 18. If you are above 18 and you don't have the birth certificate, you can go and do what they call declaration of age, so that you also have evidence that you are born in Nigeria. And then the issue of the national ID card is also something that can also identify you as a Nigerian, because you may not be a Nigerian, but you are born in Nigeria.
The coalition of civil society organizations have a membership of over 50 non-governmental organizations.
We shall be taking a break here. Please stay tuned. But meanwhile, do reach us on the email address showing on your screen.
I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our students, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
A peaceful and stable political party can only be attained where people follow due processes to address irregularities in a political contest. This was the counsel of Boss Mustafa to aggrieved members of the party.
The secretary to the government of the Federation who voted in Gabadawa Ward Sunday expressed satisfaction with conduct of the exercise.
I think it's gone on very well. I saw the level of enthusiasm, the level of excitement exhibited by our party members. Gives me a lot of feeling that the process has gone on very well.
While urging the youth to eschew violence, Mustafa says he is confident that the upcoming local government congresses will be better organized. Meanwhile, some party faithful have complained that elections did not hold in some parts of the state. Consequently, youth in the state capital marched to the secretariat of the party to express their grievances. Some aggrieved members of the party say they will not relent until the right thing is done.
We have been waiting for the electoral officers to come. We have an information that even the local government and World Congress Committee hosted from the state come here, they are not available, they are not required to be found.
We presume that we had a Congress yesterday. Why? Because from the arrival of the Congress Committee, by their actions, they have indicated to us that they are not here to conduct a free, fair, credible congresses to elect party officers in Adamawa State as the mandate they were given from the national headquarters of the party.
The party congresses scheduled for Saturday was postponed till Sunday because of the foul play alleged by some stakeholders, led by the former Secretary General of the Federation, Babachi Lawal.
Why are we going to accept this nonsense? Why? And the people of Adamawa State hijacked them.
The All Progressive Congress Party first ever congresses were marred by irregularities across many states of the nation. Members of the party are worried about the fate of the party as it prepares for further elections amidst internal wrangling.
Training in guerrilla warfare is key to eliminate the Boko Haram insurgents in Nigeria. The military, who has been at the forefront of the battle, is saying this, and they say that aspect of training is indeed critical and is an urgent need in the military to counter the attacks of the Boko Haram insurgents.
It was a gathering of senior and junior military officers from 3 services and other sister agencies to brainstorm on the way forward to end security challenges in the country. This exercise is the first of its kind, designed to test the ability and proficiency of officers charged with various responsibilities in the security chain of command. The Chief of Defense Staff, who was represented by Major General Augustine Agundu, says the military needs to partner with communities on the need for restraints, adding that peace is unattainable in any community where the people subscribe to vengeance.
Globally, conflicts continue to occur and in most cases leading to considerable loss of lives and property. These have dwindling effects on the progress of a nation in terms of economy, peace, and general development. The prevailing security situation in the country are characterized by continued attacks, reprisals, and retaliatory acts between farmers and herders.
Major General Augustine, however, says the armed forces is working towards having a joint simulation of the 3 services in tracking insecurity.
The Nigerian Army have chosen 2 divisions to exercise on a particular area as concerns the security, especially on the internal security issues. Same thing, the Nigerian Navy is on maritime domain, and the Nigerian Air Force also is exercising, simulating some issues that relate to their areas of jurisdiction.
Earlier, the Director Armed Forces Simulation Center points out that the exercise is designed to build the capacity of troops towards addressing current and emerging security challenges in the country. According to him, scenario training through simulation is the current global practice in tackling insecurity.
Simulation training is a vital tool in achieving such training, as it provides advantages to the military.
The simulation exercise brought participants from the Nigerian Army, Navy, Air Force, and other security agencies.
The Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai was at Gwaska community to condole with the people over Saturday's attack. He ends the visit with some assurances to the people of the communities. Sources say more corpses were recovered in the surrounding bushes during the search for missing persons by members of the local vigilante group and security agents, saying the attackers were heavily armed with sophisticated weapons and were not ordinary gunmen. The governor, who expressed sorrow and sadness, condoles with the people who offered prayers for the victims while assuring them of government's continuous efforts to overcome the criminal acts.
Security agencies are fully in place, so there is at the moment some level of confidence that the security agencies will protect citizens. Badly need intensive security presence in Birnin-Gwari because what is happening there is just unacceptable.
El-Rufai again reassures them that both the state and the federal government will intensify action to address the lingering problem of rural banditry. According to the governor, government will rebuild affected communities and urge them to continue to be law-abiding.
We hope that with the recent announcement by the Inspector General of Police that an area command will be created as well as additional police divisions, things will improve. In addition, the President has approved under the 2016 Order of Battle to establish a battalion in Birnin-Gwari. We are going to make available temporary facilities for the operation base of the Nigerian Army to locate in Birnin-Gwari in the shortest possible time.
The Emir of Birnin-Gwari, Malam Jibril Zubair, too, while responding in Hausa, commends the federal government and the state governments for demonstrating commitment to the plight of the people by approving the establishment of a military battalion in the area.
Abin da dai muke so kuma gashi gwamnati ya faɗa kuma na jiran nan gurin DPOC na ji gurin IG ya ce za a kafa area command a nan Birnin-Gwari. Ya ce kuma DOC ce kuma ai dama akwai battalion wanda dama za a aje tana dindindin. Muna roƙon gwamna a haɗa ƙarfi da ƙaramar hukuma.
It will be recalled that last Saturday, gunmen attacked Goska community in Birnin-Gwari local government area, shooting and burning houses with impunity, leaving many dead, injured and homeless. We'll be taking a second break here. Please stay tuned and do not forget to reach us on call bureaus as it is showing on your screen.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about form. Now, you see, let me say this.
So that our soldiers will be free, we should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
Welcome back. Megemu village in Jos, North local government area of Plateau State, have been thrown into mourning as 2 of our sons are killed by heavy rainfall, while property were also destroyed by the heavy rain and storm.
Chairman of the council, while visiting the affected areas and victims condoled with their family, says it is shocking to lose 2 youths and expressed worry over the effect of the rainy season. A pledge to assist in various capacity.
It is unfortunate that this happened at this very material time. We want to tell you that we are sharing in your grief. This loss is not only to the people of Megemu, but it's to the people of Jos East as a whole, to show our concern over what's happened. We want to pray that God will comfort you, will comfort the people of Megemu district.
Member of the victim family, Ajiji Anyama, described his brother as a kind-hearted young man, says it is quite unfortunate for him to die and pleaded with the government to come to their aid.
And I pray that
have promised as a government you are going to assist. Some have passed. I pray that the God will give you that wisdom.
The chairman also called on state and federal government to come to their aid as heavy rain have continued to cause havoc in the domain.
Vigilance is a major tool at decimating the insurgents in the country. This is coming from the boss of the Nigerian military. The military and the civilian population must be vigilant. Lieutenant General Burute has admonished the people of Adamawa State while visiting survivors of Mubi blast.
The Chief of Army Staff arrives Mubi to commiserate with the victims of the twin blast that claimed many lives. Buratai was accompanied to the scene of the blast by the Brigade Commander Adamawa State Command and other top military commanders. He assures the Emir of Mubi that the Nigerian military is working hard to avert such occurrences going forward.
It requires much more vigilance. It requires painstaking measures so as to identify the would-be suicide bombers within the community. The security agencies will continue to work assiduously to ensure that these criminals do not get access to this place.
The Emir of Mubi, Isa Amodu, while commending Chief of Army Staff for the visit, says he will continue to encourage indigenes of the state to be vigilant and offers useful security information whenever available.
That things is believing. We will check ourselves back to see that peace maintained in the chiefdom once and for all. This will not be possible without the assistance and cooperation for every people living in the domain, starting from the village head, ward head, district head, and myself, and even the indigenes. So I want to inform the general that by the grace of God, things will change.
Survivors of the twin blast are still receiving treatment at both Mubi General Hospital and the Federal Medical Center, Yola.
This is where we'll be wrapping up this week's edition of Northern Reports. Kindly reach us on cowburex@gmail.com as it is shown on your screen. Until next week, I am Osaitin Osadibame, your regular anchor on the program. Bye now.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournment of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into his hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they are not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.